What's up, everybody? I'm Jeremy, and you're watching Warfels Morse. You guys are probably thinking, I just saw you. That's because I was over on Kent from Craft Brew Morphology's channel. Make sure you guys go check that out. It was a pretty good live. You actually guys get to see me pull Xena out, and you get to see some up close and personal footage of her. So go check it out because not many people. Actually, that's the first live I've ever gotten her out on. My live, it's always too late to be playing around in there with her. So you guys are here for one reason, all right, two reasons. One's maybe to see me, possibly, but I'm pretty sure it's more to see Nicole from Ladytis Exotics. So let's bring Nicole out and definitely make sure you guys are subscribed to her. What's up,
Hello.
Nicole?
Hey. So I
And
had to
Nicole,
look
before
at the
we get
chat from my phone.
into who you are and all that good stuff, tell everybody why they need to hit that subscribe button right now and share, share, share.
I mean, honestly, I think whether you're a new keeper, a non-keeper, or if you're someone who's just curious about reptiles, I have an array of them, and I've really been experienced with them for 30 plus years. So a lot of the content that I have on the channel is really helpful. And I think even down to the fact of outside of reptiles, the focus on a lot of my content is in relation to how reptiles actually help us with our social and mental disabilities, how reptiles are actually good for children for different behavioral needs and things like that. So just trying to create more than just, being a reptile owner and now a reptile breeder, just trying to show everybody this the beautiful thing about these animals is that they're just like other pets where they bring a household benefit with a true love and affection within relationships within your household that is positive, whether it's for your child, whether it's for yourselves, or if you're just trying to help somebody understand how to live with a, water monitor, for example. How do you create the best environment for a water monitor in captivity? That's why I think that there's just so many different things. I'm one of the very few women. If you a husband is concerned about how women handle larger snakes. If a woman is watching my channel and she's thinking it's impossible, like I was once told it was impossible, watching my channel will make people quickly realize that's a lie. That it's quite that anybody is capable if you're willing to put in the time and give the animals what they truly need the best you can.
And I will be the first to say, I love retics. They're beautiful. I will never own one. That's just
That's
too
how I
big of a
feel
snake
about
for
that
me, girl.
carpet. But like I tell everybody, the weird thing is, like, as you say that, when we talk, me and Jeremy talk about the carpet python all the time.
Yeah.
The retic's personality to me, and I have 8, so, and none of them have the same personality, but none of them ever was intimidating like a baby carpet or like an adult carpet who maybe not conditioned to humans yet. You know what I mean? Retics
Yeah.
are easy. They simple if you, I think specifically when you raise them up, you know them like you know your children. You know what they're saying. You can read their face. You know when they're up to something. All of that.
Yeah. No, I agree. Every one of them's got their own personality. And once you know them, you know exactly what they're thinking. For the most part, you know exactly what they're saying or
Yeah, but the
thinking.
chances of something going like you getting bit is going to happen with Xena than it is going to happen with any of my retics.
One day, I would like to maybe get a super dwarf, something that's going to stay small and manageable.
Yeah, but
I
listen
just
to
don't
this.
have the room for a big, big retic.
Listen to this. That the super dwarf and the dwarfs, I think, are way more temperamental than a mainland.
Really?
And yes, like that. Those are the babies that it's harder to, because first of all, it's like they got the short, the short man or short little woman
Yeah, that's
height.
true.
So for them, they're more, especially as babies, way more temperamental. You're going to see them strike. You're going to see
Okay.
that. I've never had it, never with any of my mainlands experienced that. Now that I mean, y'all see me hold the dwarf now, and she's calm. But you know, she was for the I used to laugh every time I opened it. I knew she was coming out striking, but it's not intimidating like it is for carpet. Even a baby retic striking is not intimidating to me like a baby carpet striking.
An angry noodle.
Yeah, something about that Morelia, like this green tree python. Like he is the smallest snake in the house, but he rules.
I think it's the heads, and then because I was saying about that on Kent's live, which I was just on. I think it's the heads. Carpets have that big, blocky head, and then the head patterns, and it is intimidating. There's times where Xena intimidates me still, and I'll be like, okay, you don't want me messing with you. That's completely fine because I don't want the business end of you.
But the
So
funny thing is that they look a lot alike Bolin's pythons, which I really like
yeah,
the head, right? But I'm not intimidated by Bolin's. You'll see me at Nerd holding a Bolin's, you know, like no. But you don't see me at Nerd holding a carpet. It's a lot of them there too. I didn't know.
so yeah, I know Kevin's
I
got some
even
nice
have the
carpets up there.
Emperor tree boa and not a carpet.
Jeez. Now that's one snake I do not want to take a nip from. No way. All right, we're gonna go through here, say hi to a couple people,
Yeah.
and we'll get on with the show then. John, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. If anybody would like to know how you get that neat little emblem that John has, you have to become a member to the channel. It's basically like a Patreon, but on YouTube. There's three different options, like three different tiers. Each tier has its own perks. If you go for the top tier, you get all the perks, which some of those, the top tier gets discounted snakes, first access to snakes, and yeah, and everything, like everything's got its own, you get its own, your own special shirt. And John, thank you so much, dude. I appreciate it, man. I really, really appreciate the super chat, dude. Thank you. And that's another thing too. Everything made from YouTube, super chats, the membership money. I'll put it this way: the membership money that doesn't go back into the membership stuff, like the shirts, the swag, and all that stuff, goes into my ultrasound fund. Figured that was the perfect way to put anything from YouTube to you. Good use was to put that into an ultrasound fund to get me an ultrasound, which I think I really need to help my breeding seasons. Excuse me. But thank you, John. I greatly appreciate that, dude. Thank you. But yeah, and then after I finally get an ultrasound, then it's just going to go to pay to help feed these amazing animals that are here. Because I mean, medium rats aren't cheap. And especially now that Xena's eating medium rats, you know, I'm going through them a little bit faster now. But anyway, on with the show here. Rob, what's going on, dude? Thanks for tuning in. The one and only Kike.
Hey,
What's up, brother?
Bosa!
All right, now I butchered this one last time.
Please.
Poisies. The thing is, Poisies, Pythons, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. At
They
some
broke
point,
it down last time.
they did, but did I say it correct this time?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Because I'm really bad with words and pronouncing stuff. I'll be completely honest with everybody.
See, I was checking you out, Poises. I was making sure that we was getting it right because you were kind enough to break it down.
Well,
because we were all struggling.
Kike was nice enough to break his down for me the one time too, to where he had the voice, like a voice, do it for us, and I still screwed it up. So, but anyway, Boise's, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Eric, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in.
Hi, Eric.
Kenneth, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. I know you said there that you're got to get to bed or something because of work, which thanks for stopping in at least. Jeremy and Holly, what's up? Thanks for tuning in. Hi, Jeremy and Holly. Kai, what's going on, brother? Thank you for tuning in, and I greatly appreciate the shout out today on your video. That shirt you were wearing, really, really awesome. It kind of looked like the shirt Nicole's wearing.
Yep, it's like the shirt Nicole's wearing.
But Nicole won hers because she guessed like exactly how many sheds were in the box at the barbecue, and her prize was a Warfels Morse t-shirt. which I was so thankful you came to that, Nicole. I was so happy to finally get to meet you in person. That was really awesome.
Yeah, I had a good time. It was really nice. And Jeremy lit fire for me, y'all. So if I ever visit, I like bonfires, fire pits. I'm not a fire starter, but I like fire.
I say
Smell
next,
of burning wood.
you have to make sure you come up for the next one next July because Angie and Jeff are going to be up.
Okay, cool.
So they're going to be up. So
Cool.
I will
But see,
make
you
sure.
actually were in a good direction too. Like there was no traffic. It was, a nice little drive up, a nice little
Just
drive back.
see,
So
that's good though. That's good because I hate traffic and I like easy drives because at some point I want to come down and see some retics and actually you're gonna laugh and be surprised, but I've never held a retic in my life. So
I wouldn't be surprised. A lot of people haven't, right? Yeah, a lot of people. Actually, if you really think about it, other than like the big breeders, until the last 10 years, people wasn't really like exposing them like that. Because even for me, before I got them, there were not a lot of people other than the people who mastered, retakes by that point, who I knew that actually owned. In fact, I don't know anybody other than probably a handful of people that's close to me who owns them, especially the number of retakes that I have. So.
yeah, I was gonna say you're the only person I know that keeps them.
Yeah, I mean, other than like I said, there's of course the bigger breeders who created
Yeah.
a lot of the morphs.
Sean, what's up? Thanks for tuning in, brother. Greatly appreciate it.
I love the name Pot Enjoy. I just like saying it.
T and Keisha, what's going on?
Peace. What's up, brother?
Let's see here. I thought I wait. Oh, there we go. Cartafago, what's up? Thanks for tuning in. Will, what's going on, brother? Thanks for tuning in.
Hey, Cartafago. Hey, Will.
Perfectly engineered reptiles. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you. Mitzi, good to see you again, girl.
Perfectly engineered reptiles. He's in. I asked him. He's in Aussie's Patreon. I think I watched him on a recent live too. Probably.
See, he probably. I know he's in. I'm pretty sure he's on Billy's Patreon. Pretty sure he's
He's
on
really
Billy.
smart. I mean, he knows his stuff. He was the one who actually, I think, responded one time and broke down the whole spider connection. And how Kevin ended up getting it or something like that. But I might have been a Patreon too, though. Hi, Mitzi.
Stan, what's
Stan,
up?
come in.
Robert, what's going on? And she's chill as I've seen. That's really good. See, that's what I like to hear about. Good
So,
examples of
two
carpet.
two people I've heard.
Hey, you need to watch next week's live, Nicole, because I have the man that produced Xena coming
Zena.
on.
Okay.
So that's going to be, I don't know if he's going to be showing off any carpets, but that's going to be a really neat live too. I'm looking forward to that because I don't have much carpet content at all on here. Plus, I need to have that stored up for my breeding season because I'm going to be asking a lot of breeder questions. Going to use it as like a breeder bank.
That's right, because you said you was going to attempt to breed them this year or next year.
This year,
Okay.
well, this coming season.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm hoping like November I'll start pairing Xena up because she's just she's being a beast at the moment. Annie, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Do you both have retics? I don't have retics, Annie. But
Annie, but
Nicole,
follow my channel. I have some of the most amazing retakes, and you get to see that it's no reason to be afraid of them at all.
so they're beautiful. They're big, yes, but they're beautiful, and I will agree. Everything that I've seen about them, they're just very mellow snakes. I
Yeah,
mean,
very calm.
they do seem very, very mellow.
Just spoiled. They like attention. They like to be out. They like to explore. But
They like the interaction.
they'll wear themselves out real fast though. Like once they get all their energy out, they just want to go back home and just chill for the rest of the day.
Well, it's a lot of work lugging that big body around.
And you'll hear him, like you'll hear him all of a sudden be like, shh. That's how I say, up. I know they coming back around when I start to hear them taking them breaths, and they'll go right into the enclosure.
See, that's awesome. That is neat. Reptile Lifeline, what's up? Gonna cruise to here. Angie, what's going on, girl?
Angie, the beautiful Angie. Hey sis.
Yeah, Annie says they don't think they can own retics in Florida.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can in
retics.
Florida. Hopefully. So Annie, one of the things that and I'll talk about it with Jeremy later. One of the reasons why I'm so grateful for the time that I have now, I want to lobby so that those type of laws change in states that it makes no sense. And whether it's Florida or any other state, what we need to be holding people accountable for is just like if it was a dog, a cat, or anything else, that your animals are you're responsible for them. And I think like in the state of Florida, that maybe Florida should even consider that if they're concerned about people being responsible, creating some type of insurance or fee that's required. But to tell people they
Yeah,
can't have them at all, it's just wrong.
I agree. I totally agree. Paul, what's going on?
Oh,
Large Marge morphs. That's a tongue twister. Ed, what's going on, brother? Thank you for tuning in. I hope you got the email from the person that I finally sent to you asking about racks and enclosures and all that stuff. So hopefully they got a hold of you today. Tammy, what's going on? All right.
hi, Tammy.
Perfectly Engineer says he's on Billy's and done a few lives, waiting my turn for Jeremy to bring me on.
Okay, so yeah, I definitely seen him on lives. Very intelligent. That's what I said. That's one thing
I'm gonna
I know. I've seen him on a couple, and you can tell that, he knows a lot of the history and about breeding. Period. And I just appreciate the information. I know I've seen that name before.
Perfectly Engineer to hit me up on Instagram, and I will get you on this year yet. It is the schedule is filling up. Let me find my schedule here. I'm basically booked. I have one, two, three dates left in November, and then December left. But everything up until then is booked. So hit me up on Instagram, and I'll send you the dates that are open, and we'll get you on, dude. Let's see here. Who else we got joining in here? There's Keisha. Happy birthday, Keisha, by the way.
Isha, I hope
I
you
know it was
enjoyed your
yesterday.
birthday, sis.
It was yesterday, right?
Yep.
Okay. Happy belated birthday, Keisha.
I hope Terrence
Uh,
got you some seafood.
ooh, I could go for some seafood. Ed's got a retic. I didn't know that. Or maybe I did know that. All right, so I now know two people that have retics.
So Edward said, "Cool so far." And how long have you had it? Maybe he didn't have it at first, and he just recently got one. He said,
Oh,
"Cool
that
so."
could be. That could be.
And what kind is?
Guys, what's up?
Hi, cat eyes.
At my carpet, Zena's 4 years old. Lagatha's 3 years old, and the male back there in this enclosure, which he's hiding now, he's 2. Let's see here. That Florida born. What's up? Thanks for tuning in, dude. I greatly appreciate you tuning in tonight. No problem, Keisha. I'm happy. I wish I would have remembered to send you a message yesterday. Yeah, it was a nice. Maybe I
Like
missed
tonight.
something. All right. Anyway, EBS. All right. So,
Thank you, Bosa.
Nicole, tell us a little bit about yourself, girl. Who are you? And tell us about Ladytis Exotics.
Yep. So I am Nicole Tisdale. I am the owner of Ladytis Exotics. Been a reptile owner for many, many years, but in the last few years decided to get on the breeding side. So Was a very great pet owner. A lot of pet education, as we was talking about on my YouTube channel, comes from years of owning reptiles. So I always say that experience is the best teacher. I may look young, but I'm older. So I've had 32 years of reptile experience. And recently, where a lot of people don't realize or people think differently, the new species that I added in the last 2 years were the retics, which were animals that I didn't have experience with years ago. So I did a lot of studying on them before I got them. And made a decision that once I did commit to getting them, that I was going to change that negative image that they had that kept me from getting them for years. Because for years I thought like Annie, or I think it was Anne, that these were animals that was just so hard to manage and so hard to coexist with. And after studying and seeing the people like the Kevin McCurleys and the Tom Crutchfields, just like some of the older people who's own these animals out of the wild. Chip Endo is a person I'm really big on when it comes to education of reticulated pythons, and he sees them the way that I see them. So I would say, more than anything, you would hear it as you hear my passion now. I have an array of animals. I have reticulated pythons. I have Burmese pythons. I have a green tree python, tegus, Asian water monitor, red ear sliders, ball pythons. I'm breeding ball pythons now. That's the animal of choice I decided to breed. Although initially I thought I wanted it to be retics, and I'll explain later why I didn't breed retics. And I have tarantulas. I have 12 tarantulas. And as I always say, I know I'm missing something. Oh, a corn snake. So just a lot of different animals. And of course, 2 dogs as well. But I love animals overall. But my all-time favorite animal, I would say the retics and the Asian water monitor probably are tied to, if I had to separate from everything, the ones that I know, like my Rottweiler, I couldn't separate them to death. It would be those 2 species.
Awesome. Now, all right, with the Asian water monitor, how big do they get?
So males will get about 5 feet. You have some females that can reach, 6 to 7 feet in the wild. Not necessarily have I've ever witnessed one that big in captivity. But like, and it's crazy because they the tail is what makes them that long. So a lot of people think 5 feet,
They're
6 feet.
thinking body 5 foot.
Yeah, they're thinking body. Yeah. So it's really like the tail, but I will say that the girth of the body, even when it's 3 feet, they're very heavy animals. They are
Okay.
very strong animals. So yeah, I would say 5 feet will be the max. In fact, I initially, when my husband finally said I can get a water monitor, I wanted a black dragon. I wanted a black dragon,
Ooh.
and me and Kevin was talking. And Kevin said, can you just start off with something a little smaller? I got a perfect.
Well, how
He
big
said,
does a
I got a
black dragon
perfect
get?
Asian water monitor for you, that you would really love, and it will give you those T positive feels that you want. Because it was like, my water monitor was expensive, but a T positive was like a whole nother $3,000-$4,000. So
Hmm.
mine's is actually a he is actually a T positive, but he's not albino, so he's not T negative. He doesn't have that gene at all. But as he got older, he was darker when he was younger. As he gets
Okay.
older, he starts to look like a T albino. And that's what I
Oh,
fell in
okay.
love with at Nerd. So it was Kevin's suggestion. He said, watch, get this one. And watch as they get older, it starts to look very similar to the one that's way more expensive. And he never lied. Like it looks just like the one that I'm holding, which was definitely an albino at Nerd at this age it is now.
Huh.
Yeah.
Now, the chat is going off. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
Oh, I'm sorry, and I'm not even paying attention. I'm
Juicy
jealous.
G,
Never
what's
be jealous.
up?
Be inspired. Be inspired, not jealous.
Ever since Angie and Jeff had their live, and Jeff thought Angie said Juicy G. And I swear Angie said Juicy G. I swear to this day, I swear Angie said Juicy G. So GCG, you are forever branded as Juicy G. I'm sorry, but it's just too good of a story to not run with it.
I cannot wait to see them in Tinley this year. I don't know. I don't think I saw them when we were there in March. So I'll definitely see her this time around.
Oh, okay. Chris, what's up? Speaking of
Hey
Chris,
Chris, one of my favorite people in the reptile community right there.
speaking of Chris, and since we've got a good bit of people in the chat right now, we had to say thank you to the sponsor of this week's episode. And this episode is sponsored by B&S Reptilia. B&S Reptilia, folks, let me tell you, is a one-stop shop for basically whatever you may need. If you're looking for ball pythons, Chris has it. He's working in so many different projects, and he's got amazing quality animals. He's also got blood pythons, gorgeous, gorgeous blood pythons. He's also working with different types of colubers, like Mexican black king snakes, bull snakes, pine snakes even. He's working a couple different boa projects, Australian species even, like Woma pythons and scrub pythons. He's got it all, folks. B&S Reptilia is one place you want to go to if you need a snake. And on top of it, he also supplies Eastern PA with different types of rodents like rats, ASFs. He's got it all. If you need cocoa, he is Pennsylvania's distributor of Cocoa to Go and the Chipper. So definitely do not miss out on what I consider by far the best cocoa substrate on the market. Chris sells it. Go to him. He is our distributor. And make sure you tell him Jeremy sent you from Morphles Morphs, because you might just get a little bit of a surprise if you tell him that. Thank you, Chris, for sponsoring this episode. I greatly appreciate it, brother. Thank you, Chris, for sponsoring
Thanks,
this week's
Chris.
episode. And we got Luke in the house. What's up, Luke? Thanks for tuning in. Angie says she can't wait, that they can't wait to see you.
Yes, and we're going to have Mama Juice all weekend.
Oh, God. Two Angie's on Mom Juice and Nicole.
That is one of my all-time favorite lives. I actually go back and watch that one. I laughed so dang hard. It was like watching Laverne and Shirley or something. Like, it was hysterical. It was hysterical. Oh, my God. That was one of the best lives ever. If y'all have not watched that one, y'all have to go to Celtic Balls and watch the live. It might have been like number 3. It might have been a ladies' night number 3, episode number 3 with Angie from Jaw Pythons. And when I promise you that you will have a great time and forget that you're watching a YouTube reptile live at some point, it's just hysterical.
That was probably by far one of my favorite lives out of everybody's live stream that I watched. That was probably the best one.
God.
That was just, yeah.
I was literally laughing out loud.
Well, I went back and I rewatched it because I had to forget why I had to hop out. I think I had to do something with Hadley.
Yeah, I think you came back or something.
I came back in and it was like, I was like, oh my gosh, like I was so shocked that they were still going, because Angie normally tries to keep it like an hour roughly. And it's like, wow, they're still going. All right, awesome. And it's like, it was like the laughing train just never stopped at the station. It just kept going. It was
and
crazy.
Angie's husband in the background kept going. He kept walking back. And the chat just railing them up.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. And that's what I love about the chats and stuff, is if you get a great live going, the chat can run the show for you.
Yeah, that's true.
Really awesome.
Certainly true.
What's up,
true.
Diego?
Hey, Exotics.
All right, so whatever who you are. Now, I think this is something very important, and this is actually a question I don't ask a whole lot, but I ask it because you've got some really, really good ones. Who are some of your mentors, Nicole, in this industry and hobby, and how have they what have you learned from them? How have they changed your perspective coming into this hobby and industry?
So that's a really good question. And a lot of people don't ask that. And I have some amazing mentors. And thank you, because I want to use this time to shout out a couple people who are mentors of mine. Some of them you would have seen me interview on my show, but I'm going to break them down. So I want to start when I initially started researching reticulated pythons. So one of the things that, and I want to use the word not dislike, but one of the things that I don't find favorable about like someone like Jay Brewer, for example, I turned to a lot of his content, right, when I was studying reticulated pythons. And that content did not help me, right? It made me think that those animals were what people said they were for the most part. But then researching actual people. So when I was in the bro community, when I first joined, it was this guy named Randy Wright. Randy Wright is still a very close friend of mine, someone I highly respect. I even give him credit for me having a lot of the reticulated python skill set that I had, even before having built a relationship with Kevin McCurley. Randy was the person who made me look at these animals totally different. First of all, he has some of the cleanest enclosures. I can't remember which episode of Reptile and Cocktails it is, but I do an interview with him. Randy was the person who coached me in holding a reticulated python for the very first time.
Okay.
So he is in Texas. When T'Challa got here, she was a baby. And as a baby, first of all, remember, this is my first reticulated python. So I'm thinking like ball pythons and even baby boas that I've gotten, it shipped to me, taking them out the box. As a baby, this was a big snake. This snake was like 4 feet as a baby. So we go to it and I take her out. She's all black. The first all black snake I ever owned, but I wanted the Motley Golden Child Sunfire because of the colors and the iridescence. So first black snake I had. So she was intimidating. So my husband, of course, is of no avail at this particular point. He's not helping me do anything with any snake at that particular point. That was a few years ago. So then she gets here, so I call Randy, and he literally helped me handle her for the first week. Like he said, this is how you want to handle her. It helped me understand some of her body language because some of it was the way she looked, them eyes, or Retics eyes. When you see that for the first time, you're like, why is this snake looking at me like that? Ball pythons don't do that. That was intimidating, but then to learn that was a good thing, her just actually, trying to figure me out and things like that. So Randy, my husband was holding the camera. I have it on video. I think one day I might share that on YouTube. My husband is holding the camera. He's coming nowhere near the snake. Okay, he's like zoomed in from the other room, and I'm in there, and Randy is on Messenger Live, and he's coaching me through it. And even when they're like the first time T'Challa went into shed, she really looked like she died, and I kept saying, something's not right. I called Randy. Randy, like, she's just in shed. Retics, when they go in shed, they do that. I mean, I'm telling you, it's like a death. When you see a retic go in shed, it's like they died and they come back to life. I mean, just the most active snake ever. Just shuts down.
Yep.
And it's tricky. So as a new retic owner, the first time you see that, I had to touch her. Now, mind you, she didn't move. But she was quite alive. So not even something like that, knowing now, I would never do that to her because that's a good way to get bitten by a retic. But I was new to her, and Randy educated me. So Randy Wright is one. Jim Jolly, who most of my retics come from, he is the first person I ever purchased a retic from. 5 of the 8 is from him. Very, very informative to me. He is one of the reasons why I feel like I can read any retic. I think that one thing that he's told me that he did, because clearly the retics I got from him were easier to get out the box and everything from any other retic that I ever got from anybody else, and easier to transition into larger enclosures. Y'all see me do videos on that too on my YouTube page. I was always told, and even from some people like Jim and Randy, for example, do not put your retic in an 8-footer too soon. They'll come off food. They might become defensive. I've done that at after 8 months with every retic. They're in an 8-footer and never had an issue. So now I'm sharing that information with them, and I've done it over and over and over again. And having mentors like that who don't say, this is important, people, because I think sometimes people don't, when I say experience is a teacher, if you never try something and you just go on what everybody else say, you will miss the opportunity to give your animals what they really want. Because let me tell you something else I noticed. Every baby retic less than 1 year old who went in the 8-footer used every part of that space. You will see they love the fact that they can climb, because some of my 8-footers are actually very high. They're not just some of them like 8x3x3. And they literally climb. So it made me say, going forward, we have to give them climbing space. Although some of the other enclosures are a little bit more convenient. So I give Jim Jolly a lot of credit. And that man would spend hours on the phone just talking to me about reticulated pythons. He just sent me messaged me or made a comment the other day about how proud he is of me with his animals, and that how he feels good that I have them. And he's somebody that I can call with any questions about any of his animals. My pod is from him, and he said if you just handle them, the pod is just like any other snake, where everybody in the retic world make you think that all pods were mean. And y'all see, my pod is the sweetest out of all of them. He's the one that probably personality never changes, except when he's going to eat, and then he's a lot more gentle than the other ones who are eating. Like, he's such an amazing animal. And I think that's what shocks a lot of people in the retic world, and where I gain a lot of respect, is that when people see my pod and they see how I can handle him and how conditioned he is, that they respect that a lot. Another mentor for me will be the old school Tom Crutchfields, and definitely Kevin McCurley. Visiting Kevin made me see, because one of the things that I didn't know was, how was it going to be when a retic got 18 feet? Because that was 2 years ago. My retics were still younger. But I was able to go to Kevin's and see how that was, and to see that if you just love on them, they become bigger snakes who actually are conditioned to you as well. And so Kevin, I have to give, not just once we built a relationship, but even before that, that is one person that I followed when it came to ball pythons. That was somebody that I admired. Like, a lot of us admire Steve Irwin. Kevin was that person for me growing up. And just to meet him and to see that he was human, he was so humanized, because, like, to me, he was a superhero. So to see how humanized he was, it was just very refreshing. And there's a young lady that I also interviewed. Her name is Mark Crendra, and she was one of the only females I can find who actually owned a multitude of big snakes. And I learned so much from her, like, even down to, as sweet as my animals are, there's certain things I still will not do. You know what I mean? Like, because you just shouldn't. It's not the right, like putting a snake around my neck, for example. Those my bigger ones, the ones that I tell you I need 2 people to hold, they don't go around my neck. Because if I need 2 people to hold it, I definitely can't do nothing with it if it's giving its force and its power to something. So, but I do have smaller ones that, up until they get to that side, it's still easy to manage them, and I do that with them. But yeah, I would say those are my top mentors. I mean, there's so many, but when it comes to pet ownership, those are the ones. When it comes to breeding, I can't even give a list of people. There's so many. I will say, if I had to say 3 off the top of my head, it still would be Kevin McCurley, Aussie Boys, and Chris. I pay a lot of attention to Chris at BNS. I think that because also he has a variety of animals, and of course, he has experience, and with people who have experience with multiple snakes or whatever, they can speak on a lot more educationally in comparison. Like, calubras are this way, and boys are this way. Just having that different dialogue about different animals. So yeah.
I know I bounce a lot of stuff off of Chris too. Actually, just about everybody in our group chat, I bounce a lot of stuff off of.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I can't say it's one mentor. Like I have, like I think that Wiz Constrictors, for example, is one of the smartest people in ball pythons. I think that Big D is very intelligent when it comes to like breeding and genetic, and he's humble with it. Like he doesn't claim the intelligence type of thing.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things that I respect about Ozzy. As long as he's been doing this, he will tell you he's not the ball python ID guru. So
I
I definitely
totally.
agree, Carter Fago.
No, like the wealth of knowledge that I'm sure you get just from Ozzy, because you and Ozzy are like not far from one another, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I'm not far from him at all. In fact, there's another breeder that you guys really need to put eyes on. He's also in the Patreon, Ozzy's Patreon. His name is More Pythons. Teron Moore. Oh my God, he's in Maryland. He's not too far from Ozzy either. I just recently purchased a snake from him.
Oh,
Ozzy told me about him months ago, and Ozzy was like, Nicole, you got to look at his stuff. The man got some fire, and looked up his page, looked at his stuff, and I remember I told you I wanted to add some acid to my collection, and he had a nice
yep.
acid combo for me. So I'm actually going to go, he gets Scott back in town and pick that up from him tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice, nice.
So I'll share that probably on Hair Down on Friday.
Ooh. Now, are you gonna make a video with for it too, or?
Yeah, definitely, because this is my first purchase with him. Although like I follow his page and I follow his animals, so but this is my first purchase, and I like to at least give every breeder who I make my first purchase with a nice video. And then there are some breeders that just because of the relationships, they always get a video. I don't always do videos when I get like Aussies, because Aussie is Aussie. You know what I mean? Like people see his stuff. They know what he producing. People, I can pull him out the box and they'll say that's an Aussie snake. And he's not in it for the clout, but there's others that we're trying to build up. There's other people who are doing amazing things like Action Reptiles. Patrick, from Massachusetts. A lot of my it's come from him. And I think that, for a small breeder, I give him kudos when every chance I get, because some of my favorite animals is from him.
Okay. I know
Yeah.
one of these days I need to get Ozzy on here. I was supposed to have him on. Oh God, I forget
This is
what month.
probably the best time when it's slowing up for him. So reach out. Just reach out to him through Instagram.
I said I had been messaged. I was talking to him because I had bought a high intensity Orange Dream Super Enchi. I was
Mm-hmm.
messaging him about that, and we just got to talking as well. And then I had said about coming on, and he said he would. But then when it came down to picking a date, like I guess things probably got really busy, because I think that's when he started the Patreon thing as well. So
Mm-hmm.
I think I kind of got pushed to the wayside, which rightfully so. I mean, he started a lot of stuff up right around that time.
Yeah.
So I'll have to reach out and see if I can't get him on yet this year, because he's
Yeah.
one person that when you had him on your live, which if anybody wants to go back and watch a wealth of knowledge dropped, go watch Nicole's live with Ozzy. There,
That man
and
has changed my life.
make sure you have a notebook about, with a bunch of pages to write down notes on too. There's a
Yeah.
wealth of knowledge dropped in that live.
Yeah. And if you really want ways to so because like he talks, okay, we make the money from the ball pythons. That's the goal for most of us, right? If you're breeding them, you
Yep.
want to at some point make some money, right? Everybody don't want to be a millionaire. I do, but everybody don't, and that's cool. And what he does is the breeding part is secondary. His focus is more on financial freedom and showing us the simplified ways in life, and making surrounding ourselves with people who just really made good investments and became wealthy.
Yeah.
And the fact that ball python money is one of the greatest return on investments, and if we invest that money correctly, we can also have financial freedom. I learned some things from him this year that literally repositioned my whole life, like, to be able to retire at 49. If I had not made that connection with Aussie Boys in this year, I wouldn't even thought that would have been possible. Like, I wouldn't even thought that was something I can do right now today, based on, everybody's in a different position, but I had a
Yeah.
situation where I never even looked at it that way. Like, oh, this is what was happening all the time, and this is how I'm positioned and how I'm set up to do this. And it's been a blessing for our entire family. You know, for the first time in a long time, just being able to do what I love, you know, and not work for anybody. I worked since I was 14, you
Yeah.
know. So like I said to most people, you know, I'm technically at retirement age because I worked since I was 14.
I,
But yeah, it's a
that's
blessing.
my goal. That's my goal is like 8 years. I want to be just doing
Hey,
this.
Ray. Yeah. So I'm
No.
going to the Aussie had put us all on about the Bigger Pockets conference. If you were looking to get into like owning some personal real estate and renting out and rentals and you know, multifamily, whatever it is you wanted to do, you know.
Yeah.
Like for me, it would be I would definitely want to do vacation homes, probably right here in Deep Creek, Maryland, and places like that. So that's my choice. I definitely probably the next 2 years want to do renting out some single family homes, but positioning yourself to do that now with, you know, your investments. And one thing I always knew was to invest, but to really know the benefit of doing it at an early age and being in a position where I worked for a company that actually, you know, provided a benefit factor for me that allowed me to do it at 49. So I'm just really blessed that way. But my focus now is the breeding, you know, because although I'm a pet owner, everybody, and I own all these animals, breeding was new to me. It's still new to me, you know. So understanding the breeding process, which also I think is a benefit of being close to somebody like Ozzy. You know, like the first time I ever touched saw a snake come out the egg visually in person was at Ozzy's, and putting my finger and, you know, feeling the little egg tooth. You know, just having someone who is not so stuck up that, you know, you're just coming to pick up a snake. It's like, no, come down here, come, let me show you this, let me show you this is how you want to do this and how you want to set up this, and have genuine conversations. And we have like deep conversations, you know, about what the future looks like. He's very supportive of me and my husband, and what, you know, what position we're in, you know, even down to the
Yeah.
genetics that I had purchased. Like I knew that I didn't want to like be breeding for years. I knew that my first powerful year was going to be projected to be in 2023, and everything that I produced, I wanted it to be triple recessives, you know. And so in order to do that, at minimum, you know, so in order to do that, I wanted to get the right animal. So I, of course,
Yep.
invested more in the now, which is still a benefit. You know, however you want to look at it. It's buying snakes is an investment. When you spend $15,000 on a snake, it's an investment. It's
Oh yeah.
not, you know, I mean, everybody look at things differently, everybody's positioned differently. But for me, I want to be more like a Miguel, right? I'm 49. I don't want to spend 10 years trying to create the snakes I need to get to that level. So
No, I hear you on that. I hear you on that. I have to take the slow route right now. I enjoy it to an extent, but at the same token, there are moments where I wish I could slightly pick the pace up a little bit. But I know that in time that will come. It's just
yeah.
one of those deals where, like you said, everybody's in their own situation, and right now that's just the situation that I'm in.
And then some people had flukes, like people who thought they were starting slow. And that's one of the things I think is so amazing. That's why I am infatuated with y'all egg cutting videos, like infatuated, because I'm always just waiting to see what comes out the eggs. And I love when people are surprised, right? Because you
Yep.
don't know how gene mutates over a few years. You don't know if all of the hats that you told this was told the snake has really was those hats. I was watching I think it was an MJ show, and it was a breeder up in Canada where she bought a snake from Aussie, and Aussie totally missed the gene. And so where she got like this huge discount on a snake, which was way more money, and how her and Aussie laughed so much about it, you know. But it was, you know, his loss, you know. But she was like, "You sold this as a this," and the babies came out having all of this extra stuff in it, and it was pretty, you know, funny listening to her talk about that. So But yeah, some people just come out with a fluke of an animal and create something that they had no idea that was ever going to come out the egg. So that's I think that secondary to the money, like the money has to be secondary. You have to just love the animals first.
Yep.
And you have to just kind of like be excited about the creative part of it, like just what's going to come out of the egg, not because of how much money necessarily, but what am I going to create coming
Yeah.
out of it.
No, I whenever I'm cutting eggs, it's like Christmas Day. Like clutch number 2, when I went to cut that, like I had to go get Dom before we could film it. So I went to go pick him up, and when I left, there was only one baby pipped. I thought, all right, awesome, we can still do like the little race thing we started. Just each have 2
Mm-hmm.
eggs. By the time we got back, all of them were pipped but one. I was like, you gotta be kidding me! That was like 10 minutes. It's like, come on. So like the surprise was completely gone. I had to try. Was hoping at least that they'd suck their heads back in for the egg cutting, so that way the audience was at least surprised as to what was going
Mm-hmm.
on. But
So
no,
I'm
it's
hoping that I'm opposite. I wish that I would only have to cut rarely. I hope that
okay.
the animals. I know that it's not going to happen that way, but I would rather for them to just crawl out, because my biggest, like, one of the things that give me anxiety is watching y'all like kind of make sure that you're not cutting the snake, and then and then sometimes people have really big snakes in there, and I'm like, oh my God, are you cutting the snake? That's the hardest part. That's something Ozzy as a mentor tell me all the time, like, girl, snakes gonna die, okay? And you gonna have to like man up, right? Because as a pet owner, you're not buying snakes that's gonna die. But now that you're creating snakes, they're gonna
Yep.
die. Like things are gonna go wrong, and preparing it, but he knows I am a mush for my animals. Like they're like my children. They're like it's the same reaction. Like, oh my God, something's wrong and we gotta get fixed. Please don't die. And I can't bury every animal in the backyard. My husband would not let that happen. So it's just like mentally preparing for those moments is different as a breeder.
Yeah. Well, it's like with my first clutch this season, the animal I was looking to hit was a bell, and that I did hit one, and that animal had its umbilical cord wrapped around its head. So if I
Wow.
wasn't cut, chances are that could have been a dead baby. Now it was an easy, quick fix with it because all I had to do was just boop its little snoot there to get it to
Right.
pull its head back. But that
Right.
could have been a really bad situation had it gone longer than what it did. So that was like the perfect example as to why it is a good reason to cut.
Yeah.
And Glenn here is right. Breed with what if it doesn't sell, you still want to be happy to pull open that rack and see what's in that tub.
Absolutely. And that's why spider will always be in my collection.
Yep.
Sorry,
I
spiders. I
as
love,
a,
I have spiders here that don't have any issues, right? And I know, again, once you start to breed them, that's going to happen, right? That's a possibility. But isn't
yep.
the possibility with any snake? You don't really know
You can get
if
kinks on
something is going to come
anything.
out wrong.
Yep.
But the beauty of a spider, you saw me, Jeremy, at your house. Like, Jeremy has some of the most beautiful spiders. Like,
Thank you.
those animals are gorgeous, and this just like eye catching. Like, you cannot take away. People focus a lot on. I do love Desert Ghost. Don't get me wrong, but to me, the spider is more impactful than a Desert Ghost. I don't care what nobody say. If people were not concerned about the the birth defects, right? You will see way more creations
Yep.
with spider that we haven't even seen yet. So I'm still willing to put in that effort with certain snakes to create some wonderful spider combos.
Oh yeah. I once I get my acid combo from Angie and Jeff, look out because I know exactly where I'm taking the acid with the spider, and
Right.
it's going to be breathtaking, folks. I promise you that. Because acid
Yeah.
and spider, that's something for you too, Nicole. Acid and spider do amazing things,
Well,
absolutely amazing things.
and that's the thing. Like, it's so many. Like, when I look at the racks sometimes, and I just like just the potential. Because the hard part for me is that I also wanted to grow up most of my collection. I bought them as babies, and just can't wait to that year that I'm having like just 15 clutches, and just to be able to see what's coming out the egg. So
Yeah. Ray, try no matter it was put to me this way once with feeling like you're always trying to play catch up because everybody else is so far ahead. Forget about everybody else.
yeah,
Go at your pace. Make what you want to make. Go at your pace because we're never going to catch up to the Justins of the world. We're not going to catch up to the Ozzies or the Kevins. They've got that many more years ahead of
right.
us and that
20 years
foundation
plus.
built that you're no matter what, someone's always playing catch up. But if you just go your own pace and it's going to be, you're going to eventually forget about trying to play the catch up thing once you start hatching out those babies, dude. And I don't know if maybe you've already hatched clutches out. I forget,
I
but
think Ray might. I missed it, but I think he did an egg cutting or something the other day, or egg pulling or something. But I think I
okay, I
missed
might
that.
have missed that then. Too. I might have missed that. But yeah, dude, just because I always feel like I'm behind on everybody. I mean, out of like even in my little group chat, I'm behind. But I go at my pace. If I could speed it up a little bit, yeah, I'd probably do it. But at the same token, I take great pride in knowing, like, other than the foundation recessives that I bought coming into this, everything that I'm going to start producing is solely me. It's my hard work. As lines progress, it's me holding back things and striving for those perfect animals.
Yep.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Yes,
Um,
John. Thank you.
And to anybody that just hopped in, please make sure you guys go and subscribe to Nick. If I could talk, please go and subscribe to Nicole. All of her information is in the description down below. Kike, if you could, please maybe drop Nicole's link for me real quick. But
Yep.
go and give her a follow and a sub. She's
We're
giving away a
trying to
trip.
send somebody to Tinley this year,
Yep.
so we want to go ahead and be able to make that purchase of that ticket. Big D is giving away a couple snakes, 843 exotics, and I believe Wanaton is giving away something as well. So
Okay.
definitely, more importantly, like I said, the snakes we can definitely give away once we get there, but we want to give away that trip to Tinley. Tinley is right around the corner as well.
That's it. And you're gonna make it. I hope you hit it. Like I'd love to see you hit it tonight. So
Yeah,
share
and I
this
hope
out,
that they just
everybody.
push the subscribers back, because I
Yeah.
think that, right, because really that was the thing. I was telling Kent that that was one of the reasons why I was going to go to Oaks, but of course, with the foot situation, I couldn't do what I wanted to do. So 419, you just subbed. You should have been subbed.
um, yeah, go sub to Nicole. If you're not subbed to me by chance, please hit the subscribe button for me as well.
Yes.
Also, if you would like to become a member of our YouTube's version of Patreon, click that join button and check out the three options there. There's some really good perks to the memberships here. And as time goes on, I might change things to make it even better. This is just a test run to see how everything goes and to see, um, the whole. It's a test run, and as I need to adjust things to make it better, I'm going to do so as well. And Phil, thank you, brother,
Thank you,
so much
Phil.
for the super chat. I
Yep.
greatly appreciate it. And that's also another thing. Any super chats, everybody, it all goes towards my ultrasound fund. Everything from YouTube, super chats, super stickers, um, just basically whatever YouTube pays me, the pennies for the advertisements, that all goes towards my ultrasound fund because ultrasounds are an important tool, as I'm sure Nicole will vouch for.
Yes. Once you learn how to use it, right? But yeah, so now it's like crazy because I was saying the other day on Hair Down, I have a snake that I would have never thought to put in the breeding cycle this year, right? So I just the other day doing the sonograms on some of the other ones, the ultrasounds on some of the other ones that I knew were building follicles. So I just said, let me just grab this one. This one has looks nothing in size compared to the other two, but has bigger follicles than the other two.
That's funny.
Yeah, like I mean, like almost double the size as the other two. So I'm like, I would have never thought because she just looks so much smaller
Yeah.
compared to the other ones. So
Now,
yeah,
how big is she? Roughly, like
she's
grams.
only like 950 grams.
See, that goes back to like where with when I had Austin on, and Phil says it all the time too. That when they get around that 1,000 gram mark, chances are they're technically sexually mature. I mean, we have this stipulation they need to be 1,500 grams,
So
but
hers
also,
is double the size as the snake that I knew was building, which is actually her sister. So it's
okay,
they're from the same clutch. She's 1,500, probably like more like 1550, 1,600 now grams. So she was already in the sono cycle, but that one wasn't because she wasn't even at 1,000. Why am I want to even bother to do her, right? But I just did like for shits and giggles, and I did it, and she's double the size as the other ones, and double the size
yeah.
as some of the ones that like I got one that's like 2,200 grams. And she's building, but she's not as big as that one. But you can't look at her and see that.
Yeah. But see, that's yeah. See that. Plus, I'll get a hold of you when I do finally get one because I know you said about you changed your settings, so you
Yes,
stuff
that made a
came up
world of
easier.
difference. Like a world.
Right.
I had Rashard from 212 Exotics on my show, and I was telling him because I always would take pictures and snap them out to like him, Reggie, and Antoine, like different people,
Yeah.
Maine. And so when I had him on my show, he said, "Have you ever looked at your settings?" I'm like, "Oh, I didn't even know you could change them." Right? I just took it out the bag and started using it. And when he told me from that point on, because at first I thought I didn't know what I was doing. The problem was just the fact that I couldn't see because of
I say,
how it was set. Yeah. So now, like literally, once you get past the gallbladder, if it has follicles, they're right there. Like it's easy to find and everything. Where at first I'm like, I don't care what y'all say, I'm not seeing anything. I know this thing has to be building follicles, but I don't see anything. But now it's always easy to find.
see, that's like with my orange dreaming Xanthic girl. I really like, she's right at like 1,000 grams basically.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I threw in my Bumblebee double het Xanthic clown in with her. Thought, going off of what I've been hearing from like Austin and Phil and some other people, I thought I'm just gonna see what happens. And sure enough, she was locked up it was within that day. I mean, it was probably only within a couple hours. I mean, they
Yeah.
were locked up and they stayed locked for 3 whole days. So and after that, now she's being a pig. It's just like, all right, we got this. So
Mm-hmm.
hopefully, everything goes right with that clutch. But I don't want to have to play that guessing game anymore. I want to be able just to ultrasound them. Okay, you're good. This is what's
And
going
I
on with
said
you.
just for the heck of it, next week, when I'm like doing sonograms, I'm just going to sono one that's like 650 grams, just to see,
Yeah,
just to see what's in there, if anything.
yeah. I mean, because I was always under that industry standard of, excuse me, 1,500 grams, and a couple of people said, start trying at 1,000 grams, because once they hit
Mm-hmm.
that 1,000, if they're right, if they're gonna go, they're gonna go. But you're gonna more than likely spark a feeding frenzy because she's gonna start eating like crazy to get that more size and build those follicles up. And it's like, all right, you know what? You're probably onto something.
Right. Yep.
Ken.
Love is small. Kid is so silly.
Normally, it is 50-50. I thought we'll just flip flop it around and this and that. While we're at a good little spot right now, though, I want to do picks of the week.
Cool.
So we're all going to be small. My first pick of the week. Oh, hold on here. There we go. Is this stunner
That is pretty.
from Balthazar, and that is a spot nose yellow belly red stripe fire clown. That thing is nuts. Like the granity pixelation there and the bottom portion there and the teardrops or whatever you want to call it. That's just an amazing looking snake, and the head pattern, absolutely gorgeous. Now the next one, I only have two picks this week, everybody. It was a super busy week, so I do apologize for only having two picks. Maybe you guys are happy I only have two picks. I don't know. I like having more than two picks though, because I love looking at eye candy. There's keys. I was waiting for it. I was waiting for it. This next one though, I don't know. I think it massively beats out just about anything I've ever seen. And it is this
That's
stunner.
a carpet
That is a carpet,
combo, like
yeah.
a hybrid.
No,
No, that's a
that's
baby
their.
carpet. That is beautiful.
It should be. They didn't give the exact genetics of it, but that should be a jungle jag, maybe with diamond mixed into it. But that is at least bare minimum a jungle jag. So, but which jungles are? Yeah, not jungles. Jags are like the spider version of
Yeah.
in
You know,
carpet.
they're like that in the retic world too. That's why I don't have anything with Jag in it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that
So
was one thing
retics
I
even
did.
have a gene with an issue like that too. Then.
Yeah, actually, if you take a super mildly and a super mildly, that's deadly. That's lethal.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and Marquindra actually, she's one of the very few people who has a viable. I think hers is 16 feet. A viable super motley. Most of them die, or they'll have real bad neurological issues where they don't eat and they'll die eventually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
And
but
that's
Jaguar.
by sorry, and that's by Martin Morelia. If anybody want cared to know, or definitely go check them out if you guys like carpets, because they've got some really stunning carpet stuff.
That is pretty.
Oh my carpets! I love my ball pythons, but I think carpets are hands down probably one of the most breathtaking snakes to look at, in my opinion. Um, I love all the ball pythons here, but when I get to come down and I get to see this girl laying out or any of the other two, like I just kind of sit there and stare at them for a little bit. They're just breathtaking animals. 843, what's up? Thanks for tuning in.
Hey,
All right, and we got DW Exotics. What's up, Dre?
hey, Dre.
Look at that. Carpets
Carpets
are
are
fire.
fire.
They are, dude. They are.
Yeah.
And that, Dre, that was one of the things that got me to like sub to your channel instantly, dude. Was the first video was you holding it? You were working with your carpet. I was like, sub instant, no hesitation, and I love the content ever since. Ray, they are beautiful, dude. They are. All right, let's see here. Okay, so tell us, what are some of the genes you're working with, Nicole, in your ball python projects?
So I have a lot of orange stream, of course. Leopard, yellow belly, everything. Keys. I have some exantic. I have, so I don't know if you ever heard the story. When we went to Tinley in March, and we were walking around, my everything that my husband picked out, and you know he knows nothing about morphs, but everything had exantic in it. I'm like, you gotta think for exantic. Like everything he picked up, I like that. Oh, that's some form of exantic, whether it was TSK or whether it was VPI, whatever. And so he started picking out some combos. So he was like, when we get back, I'm going to look at some, and I want you to just go ahead and let's get these at least two, because I just want to see them in the collection. So we got the Bumblebee Exantic
Ooh,
from Aussie, and then we got
and that's
the,
VPI, correct? Ozzy
yeah,
Works was
that's
VPI, I
BPI,
think.
yeah. And then we got the another VPI Exantic, Inchy VPI Exantic.
Oh, okay.
And those two, so we have those, and they are a part of a lot of combos, but mainly what I want, ultimately, I want to have in my first season, I want to reproduce some super OD, yellow belly, leopard
Ooh.
hides, or some super OD, visual super OD leopard yellow belly clowns. So that's one of my, like, the first major things I want to do. But the other thing is, one of the reasons why I got the 2 desert ghosts a couple years down the line, I want to put the desert ghosts with some of the a couple of the exantics that we just talked about, to see what that would produce as well, especially putting the male desert ghost with the VPI inchy exantic. I want to see what just those, that combination does. Yeah.
So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that I salvage my DG Exantic het clutch from my pastel Exantic girl this year, because DG and Exantic, I mean, they're meant for each other. I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
they are. That's going to make those things just black
And
and
both of
white,
them would
maybe a
be
little bit of silver,
double
but
head clown.
what's that?
I said, and then they would produce animals that is double head clown, because both of them
Yeah.
have a
See,
clown.
that killer stuff. Now with your OD, is it just like basic OD, or is it high intensity OD?
So I'm gonna show you. We'll talk. Let me show you this one for example. Hold on one second.
All right, I'll put you up on the.
Okay.
I can. There we go. And I always forget which thing it is. So I just want to, while Nicole's getting that out, I want to thank each and every one of you guys for all the love and support. I greatly appreciate it. Without you, I wouldn't be doing this show. It's great to see everybody coming out. The fact that we have a consistent, basically right around 30 people watching at all times, that's just an awesome feeling. So thank you, everybody, for all the support. I greatly appreciate it. And also, if you haven't already, or if you need cocoa or anything, check out the sponsor of this episode. It's Chris from BNS Reptilia. All of his social media info is in the description down below. Go and check him out. He's got some killer stuff up for coming up for sale. Blood pythons, they're just gorgeous, just some amazing stuff. So make sure you go check him out. Ooh, look at that.
So she was actually just supposed to be OD, but now Ozzy think that this might have been one that he missed out on, and it's actually super OD. Don't think she's high intensity, but definitely
that's super clean. Yeah, that there.
And if you look at her clutch mate, they don't look like now. They look totally different. She's had a couple sheds since I had her, but when he sold it to her, he was honest. Like, he was like, "You might be getting this. She might be super. We'll know after she shed." So this one actually was the super OD het pod.
I was gonna say that thing's got some super
super
strong pod
OD Desert
crack.
Ghost het pod. I'm sorry, can't forget the Desert Ghost.
Okay, so okay, that is a DG then as well.
Yeah,
okay.
that's it. Yeah, so super OD Desert Ghost het pod. And this one I just absolutely adore. But this one is also super OD banana yellow belly odium het pod.
Odium.
Mm-hmm.
There you go, Phil.
Yeah, so I wanted odium in my collection, and definitely I'm putting him because he's a proven breeder this season with quite a few of the females that would be ready between this year and next year. I've already paired him with my pumpkin pod, actually. So we'll see what comes up out of that.
Those are beautiful, Nicole.
Yeah, but this is actually one of my favorites.
I love the super. I love Orange Dream stuff, though.
Yeah, I have a lot of Orange Dream. I said I wasn't buying anymore because I have quite a few of it to work with now. But that was one of the first few snakes that I got. I wanted them to have the different variants of OD too as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know at some point I want to have an OD from Ozzy himself. That's one of my goals.
Yeah, all of my OD is from Ozzy, except for one is from Nicole of Exotics, and one is from Young Reptiles. That's my OD leopard yellow belly calico.
Okay.
Yeah, but everything else is from Ozzy, and then it's just like I try to as much as I can avoid shipping. You know, I can't.
Yeah.
So Aussie being here having the OD, but then there's other stuff like my black hair that comes from Massachusetts. You know, that I just have to ship, and y'all know like the stuff that I got from Bomb is crazy. And then I have two more snakes that's coming from Bomb. He called them the Batman makers. They have everything for Batman except for the actual visual clown. So I got the male and female version of them coming this week as well. So
Nice, nice.
yeah. Yeah.
Angie's is absolutely beautiful.
Thank you, Angie. So I'm gonna put these back and I'll get the VPIs. I think one of them might have been in shed, but I'll see if it's out.
All right, yeah, go get more eye candy. We all love eye candy. Well, you are right, OD everything. That is Orange Dream is something that you can't have enough of. I'm super excited to try to produce a super OD Exantic at some point. I think that's going to be stunning as well. So yeah. So while Nicole's doing that, let me find my list here. Next week we have Pedro from Funky Morelia going to be on with us. He is the man that produced Xena. So it's going to be a lot about carpet pythons. Pedro's got a lot of experience with carpet pythons. It's going to be an absolutely amazing episode there. On the 25th, we have King Austin coming back for a part 2. So definitely don't miss that one because, I mean, we all love King Austin. Let me up 50-50 here. And then on October 2nd, we have Sarah from DS Royals going to be joining us. On October 9th, we have John and Christine from Triforce Morphs. They are a local breeder to me and to a lot of us in the Pennsylvania area. So don't miss that because they've got a lot of amazing looking animals there. On October 16th, we have Brian Gundy coming on. He will be on, folks. I'm gonna go, set up a date sometime that week and walk him through it to make sure that we do get him on. I'm excited to have Brian on because that really was not fun not being able to get him on when he was supposed to be on. You're right, Chris. OD is a must in any collection. On October 22nd, which is a Saturday, same time, 8 p.m., we're going to be going live with Sal from Gomez Python. So don't miss that. Sal's a hard guy to get a hold of. And Saturday worked best for him, so that's what we went with. So Saturday, 8 p.m. for that. On October 30th, I have Chris from Balls Deep Reptiles. He's a local breeder as well. He's going to be here with us. And then I have a void because I don't have anybody scheduled for November 6th, but November 12th, which is also a Saturday, and it's also the date of the Gettysburg Reptile Show. So I'm going to be stepping that day. But I have Brian Cusco from Triple B coming back on for a part 2 as well for that one. So don't miss that because I enjoyed having Brian on for the first go round, but he could only give us an hour. So hopefully this time we can get a little bit more than an hour, but we'll see. I appreciate any time that the man can give me. So, all right. Nicole's back. Put you back on the big screen, girl.
All right. So here's your Exantic. So this is the VPI Inchy Exantic girl. Let me see if I can get it that way. Turn around, girl.
Absolutely beautiful.
And then this is the VPI Bumblebee Exantic Het Desert Ghost.
He's pretty too. Exantic everything, everybody. Exantic.
And of course,
everything.
The Bumblebee has a spider, so you'll see.
He's got a little bit of the wobble going on.
But he literally just shed. But yeah, I love this boy. And eventually I'm going to put him with one of my the Desert Ghost female.
I was gonna say that's gonna be DG with Exantic, and you throwing that in with like the Zebra Bee stuff. Yeah, that's gonna definitely totally change that animal. That's gonna
put her with a visual. The female is a visual Desert Ghost, the one I had out earlier. So when she grows up, So we should get some visual desert ghosts too.
Nice.
But yep, put them back,
We
and then
love
I'll
my
grab a
gigantic
couple
stuff.
retics.
I see
Y'all
it.
want to see some?
Bring us your favorite babies, Nicole. Bring us your favorite babies.
My favorite. It's hard to do.
Well,
I'll
you can
bring
bring
a
them
couple.
all, but
Okay,
I guess the more thing, the retics are probably your favorites.
Yes, the retics are definitely the favorites. So let me get
Chris, yeah, I'll have to tell you the story about that one, but it was kind of funny. Ha ha. I'll message you about it. It's a good story. But yeah, we've got Chris coming on. I'm actually trying to get Jim, that runs the Gettysburg Reptile Show, to come on as well. I think that would be a really neat live after talking with him personally for a little while. I think I'm trying to get him to come on, but not sure if that's going to happen or not. And you're right, the Stormtrooper is awesome. John there with that Stormtrooper, yeah, that's a stunning example of Exantic. And while I actually think about it, hold on, I should have did this. I forgot to do my sticker shout out. I want to give a sticker shout out. Or yeah, Joe. Yeah, Joe. Sticker shout out to Michaela's Farm. Thank you for the sticker, girl. And I'll be getting your stickers sent out to you here shortly. Yeah, I'm looking forward to trying to get Joe on. Him and I have been in the talks of a couple of different things. So as things progress, you guys will find out. But I'll let you on that with a little bit of a cliffhanger there. But there's some neat stuff brewing. I'll put it that way. Look, Zena's out and about moving around.
ready. Come on, let's go.
Oh, Massac could be there, Phil? Well, what the world? Oh, snap. All right, hold on. Let me put you back on the big screen here, Nicole. No, that there looks like a pied.
That is. This is the tiger pod albino. And bear with me because they don't stay still. So I'm trying to get. This is one of my favorites, but the other two favorites are just too big for me to pick up by myself right now, unless they're coming out on their own and they look like they might not be. Well, they might. One of them look like she might now. Did she see this one out? But this is one that just amazes people that he's so calm and because pies just don't have that reputation in the retic world.
Anytime I think of a pied retic, I go back to an episode with Brian Cusco, and he had a pied that had an attitude issue, and he got like this motorcycle helmet. I mean, he was all geared up in case things went south with this thing, and he had that much gear on, and this pied just decided to take off on him. Well, he couldn't keep up with the motion of this pied, and he was like huffing and puffing until it was done and over. It was hilarious.
Well, I would tell you, like, even just getting one out, like, it's just the weight of them. It's a lot. Like, thank God for like him. Like, this one is easy to get because he likes coming out. So when you open him, he's already like, all right, we're coming out. And right now he's going and he's ready to go down on the floor. But I'm gonna let him get down so I can go get the other one.
Now you did every once in a while. You, if I remember correctly, you said like you just let them out of their cages and they just kind of go do their own thing.
Yep.
Have any of them ever left you?
That's the daily routine around here for the retics. Unless they just ate, because what I don't want them is the poop. Just anywhere, especially the larger ones, because that's like horse poop. Like that's like a lot.
Well, that was gonna say. That's what I was gonna ask. Have any of them ever left you a present somewhere?
So not in the house. So, and I don't know if it's just that they know, but now what has happened is that I've had it where one like try to get back to the enclosure and then might do it as soon as they get to the enclosure and look at me like I tried to get back in time, right? But never like in another room. They try to be in the enclosures as much as possible. And one of the things, like with the Motley Golden Child son, I noticed that if she has to use the bathroom, she won't want to come out.
Oh,
And
okay.
typically that's one of the things that you would know about her. If she don't want to come out, oh, and she just ate like a couple weeks ago or 10 days ago, she's about to have the big, because they'll have like a multiple bowel movements before the big one after they eat.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah. So I think with retics, and I said this before, they hate the smell of their poop, and they also seem embarrassed to do it for me outside of the enclosure. They seem quite comfortable in the enclosure, but outside they do their best to give me signs or cues that they are going back, they want to go back to their enclosure. So
Oh,
let me go grab another one for you.
all right. Yeah, go ahead.
And I just gotta keep an eye on this one to make sure he don't knock nothing down.
Our group chat, I think, is my phone's like going off like crazy. Can't tell if it's the group chat or what it is. Someone's blowing up my phone. Close to Bloomberg, PA. There's a Freedom Breeder rack for retics. One with the yellowish tubs with windows. Huh. See, I don't need anything that big. But thanks for posting that, Will. So if anybody has any questions as well for Nicole or myself, make sure you guys drop them. I'll try to stay on top of the chat, on top of everything else. Sometimes I do miss stuff. I'm not perfect. First to admit that. But, excuse me. Yeah, I'll do my best to highlight those. That way Nicole or myself can answer them.
Come on, Mama.
It's hard to keep up with our group chat sometimes, dude. Sometimes I just don't even bother trying. I like skim through it to see if Danny popped in to say anything like really good, and then that's about it. Our group chat's very, very active. Well,
And be careful because the pad right here, and I don't want him to knock it like down. Although he's about to.
Phil. Oh, look at that.
Make sure he moved his tail. Okay. I got to make sure the one on the floor don't move his tail. All right. And so this is one of my all-time favorite retics. And for two reasons. It's a golden child cow. And this is one of the original creations of Kevin McCurley. Kevin McCurley created the golden child cow, and he is from Kevin. Is from Kevin. So this is my star.
Now, how old is she?
She is just turned 2 years old.
Okay, wow, she's only 2 and that big. Wow.
Yeah.
See you
Well,
later,
actually,
Phil.
she's small for a 2-year-old. Like she is because she got, the golden child has some dwarf blood in it, so she's actually small for a 2-year-old.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Chris asked, "How many females are you pairing this coming season?"
Only 4 that I know of today. If a couple more press through and get a couple hundred more grams, which they average about 50 grams a month, it seems. So if so, I'll be adding another 3 to that cycle. But so far, Chris, only 2.
Well, it's getting those first couple clutches under your belt is definitely the most stressful. But after you get, especially after that first one, then it's like, okay, I got this, and then it just flows real quick.
Right. We're gonna try to get one more out. One of my other favorites, which is the Motley Golden Child, which was my very first reticulated python. Okay. So I'm gonna get Chala. She's right at the window, so she might be ready to come out. We're just gonna put this one back before we get her out.
Ray says, "Are you planning on breeding your retics?"
So Ray, that's I was talking about that, touched on it a little earlier. So initially, when I first got Retics, that was my goal. I wanted to breed them. But then once I started to own them and really realize the commitment and care that was required, I wasn't confident enough that there would be, because Retics can have 50 eggs. I don't know 50 people. I don't know 5 people who can give these animals truly what they need in space, time, food. And time is a big one, because when y'all see me go in these enclosures, just pour retics out like that without a struggle, and it's because of all the time I spent with them when they were little babies. And I think that in order for you to give them healthy lives, like what Jeremy was talking about, a lot of people don't believe in letting snakes roam around their house. Well, I can't give these snakes a jungle in Indonesia. So the best I can give them is this house to make their own jungle. And if you're not willing to do that, then you're not the right person to own a retic. So
Mm.
that's why I chose ball python breeding, because there are people, there's a market for ball python breeding. But if you're going to own a retic, it's like having a baby, like even down to having them out, they can hurt themselves quickly because they pull on everything. They are so heavy and they don't realize it, so they knock things down as they're moving, so you have to really pay attention to them.
Yeah. No, you got to be ready and we'll go over a little bit here as to what some of your recommendations for requirements for retics
Mm-hmm.
are. Chris also wants to know, what other species do you have on your bucket list to breed or keep?
So the only other thing that I'm going to breed other than ball pythons is going to be my boas. I have boas too. And actually, Michael, get Keikos. Get Keikos for me. Yeah. I'll bring out one of the boas, because people forget that I have boas. I have 5.
So I actually didn't. I didn't remember you had boas. I knew you have them, but I forgot it momentarily as well.
Yeah. So I think because I spend more time with the retics, people see the retics the most, but I have boas that I absolutely love. So I'll have my son bring out one of the boas now.
Okay. I know. One of these days I will have a boa because my buddy Mike has told me that at some point I'm going to have an IMG boa, because that's the one boa morph that really catches my eye, is that IMG.
90s are
Uh,
nice.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
told him, though, I don't want one that's going to get all black. I want some of that. He's got a male that's just perfect. I told him I want one that's like that, but I'm never gonna breed them. I just want one to have as a pet.
Yeah, so I think the major difference for me, Chris, from boas to retics is retics are engaging. Boas are stubborn sometimes. So retics, you can get them to move along. Boas, you got to get them in a position that you really want them in order for them to not hold on to something, and you never can get them back in the enclosure. Like right now, I'm not even going to let this one go to the back because he's going to grab that old sign in the back. But this is Pastel Dream, Monster Tail, Sharp Albino, Het Sharp Albino. And this is Keiko's.
Oh, nice. She's beautiful.
And he will be
Or he's beautiful.
3 years old in January. No,
Okay.
Keiko's will be 4 years old in January. Yeah, bulls are super stubborn. And so retics, on the other hand, they're just spoiled. They just want to please you. And if you rub them to move along, they'll move along. Where bulls, I'm holding on until I'm ready to go. So that's one of my favorites. I'm gonna go one more. Okay. He said he'll get one more. But yeah, so I think that I got boas before I got the retics. So just to give you guys an idea, when we bring out one of the larger retics, that boa is the same age as one of the larger retics, and how much more a retic grows in time compared to a boa is crazy. Everybody thinks a boa is a big snake, but when you have a baby retic in a year, and I told anybody this, that little snake you see in a year is going to be at minimum 10 feet.
I
At
believe
minimum.
that.
And I would say that minimum, most of them was already at a year, 10 feet plus. No, I want you to get Charlotte because I want to see, or Hefe because I want them to see how big Charlotte and Hefe is compared to Keiko's, who's the same exact age. Charlotte's right there, so she might be ready to come out. Okay.
What's up, John and Christine, or John or Christine, whichever one of you is watching? I actually just mentioned to you guys about being a guest in one of the up and coming shows.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. Use the bathroom. That's another reason to get them out. Come on.
Kike.
Boa switched around Bosa. So Bosa, you saying you stubborn? Yes. Which everybody, Bosa's birthday is Tuesday, FYI.
What?
Information courtesy of Mrs. Bosa. So make sure that we shower him all the love he don't want on Tuesday.
I was gonna say, yeah, I'm gonna have to make sure Kike gets some love here.
You could have gone this way, because he right there.
I know.
Oh.
He went this way.
Where there's smoke, there's fire. It's going to be a great live with you guys as well, John or Christine. Which one is it? Which one of it is it? Is it John or is it Christine? Kike says, really nice. Really, Nicole?
Yes, Tuesday. You might as well get them now.
Your phone's going to be blowing up all day, Kike. All day.
With all the love that you deserve, brother.
Yes, yes, yes.
All right, so let me help Michael get Hefe.
All right, no, you're good. For anybody that may have just joined or anything, any super chats, super stickers, all that stuff goes towards my ultrasound fund. So, you know, if you guys want to help support the channels, to help support Morphles Morphs, and you know, just being a part of that, you know, super stickers, super chats, that type of deal goes into my ultrasound fund, as well as anything made here on YouTube. And then if you want to support the channel on a more regular basis as well, you can become a member. Click that join button. Look at some of the options that we have down there for memberships. Some of them come with really nice perks. So make sure you check that out as well. Ooh, look at that.
Yeah, so this one is the Motley Mochino. And this one is the same exact age as that boa you just saw. So you can see the big size difference between a 3-year-old retic and a 3-year-old boa. And we're holding, my son is actually holding the whole other half of his body. I'm not holding this by myself. My son is over there holding the other half of his body. So don't think that I can hold him straight up like this by myself.
I was gonna say yeah, you can see your son's arm. That's a big snake.
Yep.
Look at those colors.
And look, he's great now. The whole bottle over. Come on. I can't help it. They can't help it. They just never realize how big they are. So I'm gonna let him get down on the floor. Hold him until he get down. Oh, you don't want to get down. So this is how full they are. He don't want to get down. He wants to get on the light. No.
I was gonna say he wants to go towards the light.
Mm-hmm. Like, give me the light. So, you got to.
Well, John, sometimes, you know, wives hop on their husbands again. You just never know this. You know, you never know. Incognito stuff. Incognito.
Take his paper out because I'm going to clean him while he out.
Those are... Retics have some of the most beautiful morphs, though, and the colors are just insane.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and it's such a variety. Like, it's so funny because I have the lavender sun tiger, who at eye looks very similar to the purple sunfire, but if you put them side by side, they look nothing alike. They're two different snakes. But if you look at them at a glance, you would think that they are the same morph.
Oh, okay. Now, how many morphs of retics are there?
Whew, it's so many, and they create new ones every single day. It's a lot. Yeah, it's not as many as don't put that there. Put that right over here underneath of that. It's not as many as ball pythons yet, but it's a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, even when I just think of something like the golden childs, I remember before you only saw one form of a golden child. So now you're starting to see golden childs in all kinds of colors now. So
See, golden childs are pretty. They are pretty.
yeah, we was gonna try to get the Motley Golden Child son out at the same time, but Hefe is not. He wants to stay out for a while, so we're gonna let him stay out, and I cannot watch both of them at the same time while being on the live.
Nah, you're good. You're good.
One of
Well,
them is
while we're
definitely
still
gonna
on the
be with
retic thing, what are some of the requirements for retics, like temps, especially cage sizing? Because as you said, they grow quick. So I mean, what you started them out in, they're going to outgrow it rapidly.
So the reality of it is that unless you're providing a whole room, I'll just use an example. Most retics in captivity is not in what I would say ideal cage sizing. However, that is fine because if they're in their enclosures, they're normally resting. If you allow them to get the exercise they need. So, like just saying, like Hefe, he came out. If Hefe wanted to go right back in his enclosure, right now, he will head right back over there. He's right at my feet, hovering at my feet. So that tells me he wants to be out. So he's sitting here, he kind of looking and just kind of exploring the area over here. But that's exercise for them. So when you see retics that are over, retics are not supposed they're going to be long snakes, but they shouldn't be anaconda sized snakes. So one of the biggest mistakes is that they're overfed. I feed the retic you just saw. That retic get one rabbit anywhere between 8 to 12 pounds a month.
Okay.
A month. One. That's it. And what are you doing? And if the smaller ones or the medium sized ones get one guinea pig every 2 weeks. Babies is the only thing I've ever fed once a week, and that's like typically if they're on a medium sized rat. Once they start getting to jumbo rats, 10 days. So just watching your snake's behavior, more importantly, just like with ball pythons. I don't believe ball pythons should be on any specific cycle. You can tell a ball python who don't want to eat or who's not craving food and one that is really ready to eat.
Yeah.
Just by what they do. So, you want me? Oh. So yeah. The other thing is the biggest mistake is that they're not ball pythons. So people think that the hot spot's supposed to be hot. Think of retics as people who just overweight and don't like a lot of heat. That's what they are. They're big snakes. You're going to see them at 78 degrees most of the time. So that's where the enclosure size come in. I think that's important. So your snake has to be able to get half of their body at all times in, I feel, at least 4 different heat gradients. So if you
Okay.
look at the enclosure, it's like an 8 footer or a 10 footer. Normally that snake has at least 2 feet of different gradients of heat. If you're using the proper heat panel, his hot spot or her hot spot, I keep my snake's hot spot at around about 82, 85 because they don't really like much more than that. And all they need is enough for retics to digest, and they can digest with no problem. I have some retics who digest at 78. They don't even go. They don't even go on that hot side. But the goal is just to make sure they have what they want. So between 78, 82, 86. Some of them, like the one we just saw, he has a cool spot at 76. You will see him at 76 most of the time.
Oh
You
wow.
will never. So that's one of the biggest misconceptions that people have. And if you really pay attention to where they live in Indonesia, they like high humidity but lower temps.
Okay.
And that's why they're more in Indonesia, they're more active at night than during the day because the temperature normally drops below 80 degrees. So it's around 78 and the humidity spikes up above 80. So that's one of the main things is the temperature. And most importantly, two water sources. Retics are smart. They do not want to drink in the same water they peed in or pooped in or anything. So they like to have a water bowl to drink from and one to kind of swim in. Like when they digest food, retics like to put their whole body in water, immerse it in water to help
Oh,
them with the
wow.
digesting process. And I always told my husband, if I never paid attention to that and watching the snakes get older, I wonder if, the snakes will be as happy as they are. Every time after they eat a large rabbit, they will immerse in the big black water bowl that you see. Their entire body. That's where there's normally there for shedding, and they normally there to the beginning process of shedding. So you'll see them soak in there, and then they'll shed anywhere else. But for eating, after they eat the first 2 days, I will say they sit in water, and that helps with their digestion process.
I see they're absorbing some of that water through their skin to help
Yeah,
make up for what they're losing for the digestion process. That makes sense. That's neat though
yeah,
that they do that, but it makes perfect sense.
yeah. And so I think that's one of the biggest things. And just to understand that retics are not good housekeepers. Like sometimes if you're like OCD about an enclosure, you'll be cleaning all day because they really knock water over. They just poop and pee all the time. Retics are always peeing, even if they're not eating, they're peeing. Because
And
they
it's
do
not
drink
like
a
it's
lot.
a little bit either.
Right,
It's gonna be
exactly,
noticeable.
exactly. Yeah, so like people always say that, I keep my enclosures clean because I don't let them sit in anything, but it's just days that, you might just clean the enclosure and then come down the next morning and you clean it again. And I think some of them actually find it funny. I really think sometimes they look like, aha, you didn't take me out yesterday. I bet you take me out today. So yeah.
Now, what do you use for bedding for them though? Is it just newspaper, or
So
do you actually use bedding?
ideally, I wish retics were good on just paper because of how much they use the bathroom. But I find that what I do is I give them both. On their side where their water bowl is, I give them substrate. So I give them the Retichip.
Okay.
And then on the side that I call kind of like their relaxing side, or the side where they're just kind of chilling, there's this, I have like this big construction paper that comes from, I don't even know if you call it construction paper, but it comes from the Uline. But that's on that side, and that's normally where their drinking water is and their other hide. So with the retics, I find that they definitely do like feeling that reti chip, opposed to
Okay.
ball pythons. Like I really don't care other than my ball python that were pets. They're on substrate, but the ones that's in the racks, I prefer paper towels. I've always preferred paper towels for any ball python that was in a rack or in a tub. I think it kind of helps balance the humidity too for them.
Okay. Now,
Now
now
the
you're
boas have all substrate because
all
the
right. The
boas
boas
I
are all
find
substrate.
all substrate.
Okay. See, that's Mike puts all his boas on that construction paper stuff you were talking about. I think he uses
Mm-hmm.
the same thing, Uline or something like that. But that's what he keeps all of his on was that. And
Yeah, and it's
I
probably for
keep
the same
everything on
reason.
Coco.
The benefit of, I think, especially with the retext, is that you'll find that they know where to pee and poop. So they'll pee and poop on the paper side. Like they know it. Let me pee and poop over here. And because I do everything else over here where the substrate is, and it's not, it's like they know, like I'm not going to do it over here. I'm going to do it over
Yeah.
here.
I'm not gonna
So,
do it where I want to actually be laying and everything.
yes.
Makes sense.
Yes.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
What are your plans as like a breeder moving forward, like with the ball pythons, the boas? Like, do you ever plan on maybe just producing one clutch of retics just to say you
Yes.
did it?
So it's still a thought. But what I would like, and it's really the Motley Mochino and the Motley Golden Child Son. I always said that I wanted to pair them. I think they will make really good condition, very tamed down babies. Um, but I would need to again know that market of 50 people. So I would not do that unless, let me tell you where those 50 people are. It's in places like Florida. Like the people who ideally would want to own reticulated pythons because they can build those nice exterior enclosures for them that are great would be in places where they're trying to keep you from having them. So as of right now, I don't think I would, unless for whatever reason I'm in a much bigger house where I can actually house those babies myself.
Gotcha. Then what
But
about for like boa plans and your ball pythons and stuff?
yeah, so definitely with ball python, I definitely want to be one of the ones who stays similar, a smaller boutique breeder. But I want to produce some very amazing animals as well. So I do plan to make that an income stream for myself in a very fruitful one. So that's a lot of focus goes into my ball python breeding. A lot of money is invested in my ball python breeding. My tagles I definitely would breed. I want to produce at least one clutch for with the tagles specifically. Like I said, I don't know if I ever share. If you ever heard me share that, the tagles I have come from Jesse's Jungle, and the mother of my two babies was one of the animals that was stolen from him and never returned, Layla. And so I
Oh,
would love to produce some, and maybe have a female that looks like Layla, because my girl looks just like her mother, and maybe send that back to Jesse, just the
yeah.
in memory of their parents. Yeah, so I would definitely do the tables. So and the boas. I definitely want to do the boa, especially the blood boas. Once they grow up, I want to pair one of the blood boa girl to the boy that you just saw. I want to put it with the pastel dream monster tail, sharp albino. She's also had for sharp albino, so it has some potential to create some visual albinos as well.
Okay. Nice. Very, very nice. Um, we're
Now,
actually
Chris
just going.
asked any animal that was on my list. So I am considering getting one of those Mertens, those water monitors from Mike Monitors. I will make my mind up after Tinley, but I definitely have a lot of interest in that. As long as I can have the enclosure built inside the house, because there's no more room in the area where we have built Lurie's enclosure and the table. So if I can do that and provide it what it needs, I definitely want one of those Mertens.
Okay.
And an
Now,
alligator
I
when I can have all the other space. But go ahead, Jeremy.
I always keep forgetting you had the tegus. I don't know why I forget you have
I
those.
don't know why even them little well, not one. One is really, really sweet. The boy is really, really, really sweet. The girl, when she's in this house, she's in this house. She thinks she runs it. I mean, she is something. So she's, I think, in coming out of her full stage of puberty. Sweet when she want to be, like, you'll see they'll lay in a bed with me and everything, but when she's in the house, like, if she hears something move, she gotta go run and see where it is, and it's so funny to watch. It's like a little woman, and her little legs just to be gone so she can go see what it is. But yeah, I love those tables too.
That's my wife wanted to get a tegu one time because she saw those videos of them acting like basically like dogs,
They are
essentially.
dogs. That's what it is. Like, literally, it's like they're like little dogs. When you say that, Michael, like, even when you go to feed her, the boy will sit there and he's nice and chill. The girl, she'll like play with you, like, put my food down. Put my food down, and you can put it down, but it's like she just always got this attitude with her until she's tired, and then she just want to kind of cuddle and everything. But yeah, they're a lot of fun.
See, that's I've always wanted a big lizard, but at the same token, I just don't have the space for one. So I just know it's not a
But
smart
you
thing.
do. Like, even when I think about that daggone house in your backyard, because I'm gonna call it a whole house, that would be perfect for an Asian water monitor.
But but then you gotta go do all the weatherproofing and all the heating and oh, it's so much work,
If
Nicole.
I had that house, I definitely would have another lizard for sure. That, or a whole rat house, a whole rat.
I was gonna say, plus if I do that, then I lost my rat house.
Right.
I think more than likely it'll become a rat shed at some point. Um, I just gotta wait to actually have the funds to go and do all that work to it. Because I mean that's gonna be a little pricey to weatherproof it all or not. insulate
Right.
it all and get everything over to where it needs to be and how it needs to be.
Yeah.
Um, all right, tell us about your live stream and more on your YouTube channel because you've got a great live, you've got an amazing YouTube channel. Tell us a little bit more about that.
So the live streams, Reptiles and Cocktails is the one that's I think we just did our 33rd episode. And that is just pretty much I try to bring on different known and unknown people in the reptile community, because one of the things that I used to always be or found it funny or challenging is when people would say, well, you don't look like somebody who will own reptiles. So I try to bring on all the different faces of people who own reptiles, the different levels of reptile ownership that they are, different platforms, whether they're creative minds in reptile business, whether they are actual breeders, whether they're people who provide lobbyists opportunities. Like I just tried to bring on different people in the reptile community to show my friends and my family and the people who don't know a lot about reptiles that it's very normal, and this is what all the people in the world who own reptiles look like, and this is what we're about, and this is why we love them, this is what reptiles do for us, and that type of thing. The YouTube channel itself is just literally my thought process, and every time I record a video, is that somebody had a question or once felt like I felt, like especially when it comes to reticulated pythons, or in the case of boa constrictors, if you never got into the bigger snakes, that you can see that a snake is a snake, right? Even though we joke about like the carpet python, one of the things I definitely understand and I do know, like even with the green tree python, I remember thinking it was a time that I'll never be able to hold that thing. And then it went from, okay, you can hold me now, but be careful, to more now, like he's a whole lot calmer than he ever has been.
Yep.
But that takes time. But you gotta love it, and you gotta be like how you love the carpet. That's how I feel about Retics. So any challenge that a Retic could ever have given me, I was ready for it. But with my YouTube channel, I want people to see that it's really not a challenge. Like what you thought of a reticulated python, or what you thought of an Asian water monitor, what you thought of turtles, or whatever animal you're tuning in for, it's not what you thought. One of the only viral videos I did, and I was totally not even thinking that it would go viral, was on Facebook, and I did it a little over a month ago, and I was showing people my just kind of taking ball pythons out the rack, showing how that, even a defensive ball python, if you put your hand over its head, it will duck. Just like showing people that you do have control over reptiles, they don't have control over you, type of
Yep.
thing. And that thing went like to 1 million views in a couple days,
Oh
and still
wow.
building on Facebook. So many people, and what I love about that is not the fact that it got all the views, is that I touched that many people who are
Yep.
not reptile people, because on my Facebook page, you're either a reptile person, and that's recently, where I let a lot of reptile people in 2 years, but you were somebody I went to school with, or you were family. I didn't just accept people on Facebook just because you sent me a Facebook request. So I don't
Yep.
have 1 million people as friends on Facebook. So it had like over 25 shares. And those 25 shares were from just people, some people I don't even know who they are. So that's my goal. My goal is, with all of this free time, with me, being able to do this full time, it's not just about the breeding. Breeding is a large part of it. And I definitely want to be one of the, down the line people that are not respected for the type of animals I produce, but the how I love and produce animals.
Yeah.
But one of the greatest things is to be a lobbyist for reptiles as it associates with people with special needs. My son Michael is a adult with special needs. He was raised as federally coded O1. Reptiles was a big part of his life. I don't care what anybody say. I see even now, as y'all just saw, how he can handle these retics better than I can a lot of times. So I want to be an advocate for that. And I want to be an advocate for like the people who are in Florida, or people who are in Tennessee or Alabama, very specifically. Alabama really hurt a lot of people who were retic owners when they put down that law a couple of years ago. I had one guy that I was following on YouTube who literally said to me that, his name is Steven, he said to me that he had actually dropped off of YouTube because he was very depressed. It was somebody I used to follow to get retic knowledge, so we can't, the government has to be careful in a way in the world where we are already people who are suffering from depression, especially in these last 2 years. COVID has changed lives. People had saw massive deaths in their family, and to worry about a reptile and taking it away from somebody, triggering more mental illness. I want to make sure that message is out there. And that is one of the things that, if one of my ultimate goals, Jeremy, when you see me I'm only, 10 minutes from the Capitol. If you see me inside the White House being able to speak on this topic, I have arrived as a breeder. I have arrived as a reptile hobbyist. I have arrived as a reptile educator. That is my goal, to have a voice for us, for people who, don't necessarily fit the description of what people think reptile owners are, right?
Yeah.
I'm totally opposite. I'm a black person. Number one, people in the world think that they're all white. I don't know, why, but they do, and so therefore, no, everybody. There's all kinds of people who own reptiles. If we go in any of our chats, you see that. I'm a woman, where people don't realize that although women are more affluent in reptile ownerships than even men are, people think that this is a man thing, and it's not, and then more importantly, I want people to understand that even though I look normal to everybody, and then I'm, 100% in control of myself, I can tell you that reptiles bring a mental calmness to me when it comes to anger management. I am not the nicest person all the time. My husband would tell you that. So, but he's glad that reptiles exist. I will tell you that as well, and that's why he will buy anything I want. I can ask for any kind of reptile that I want, because he knows that it definitely brings a joy to my soul that helps me with my special need. Everybody has a different special need, and some people think that when we say mental disability, that you have to be totally out of your mind and crazy. No, but I will say this. Let's keep in mind, anybody who snacks was just the me with anger management issues at one point, right? Anybody who snacks was just somebody being bullied at one point. Anybody who snacks was just somebody who felt worse at one point, right? It doesn't matter. It's up to where did that person get there. And I believe reptiles for it. If you actually expose that dialogue more, a whole lot of people from being mental presence.
I totally agree. Like, for me, I've had a rough, happy day at work. I come down here and snake group every
Yeah.
bad, crappy feeling that they just doesn't exist anymore. Being like, I don't even have to really hold the snake itself. Just opening up the
Sitting
tub,
in the room.
just sitting in the room. I can look at the carpets. Nine times out of 10, one of them is out. Pull open the tubs. I don't have to physically hold them, although holding them is even more relaxing.
Right.
But just looking at them, and it's just, I don't know, it just puts me in a happy place. And I know my wife, sometimes she gets on me about, well, you were down there for an awful long time. Why were you down there for so long? And it's just like, I needed that little bit of peace. It's
Yeah.
like, I just needed it.
That's like my husband and I with the basement. Like my husband's man cave is his sanctuary, and I honestly think one of the reasons why we have one of the most solid relationships is that even though we don't have to run the streets to be away from each other, I have my reptile room or the bedroom, which I'm in my bedroom a lot, reading on podcasts and stuff like that. Or he's in the basement, and that's his happy place, especially this season, football season, and all that type of stuff. I'm good with that. I think
Yep.
that's how we go, those 14 years strong, right? So it's like he's being away, and then all of a sudden, he comes home at night, although he was in the basement the whole time. It's okay.
Yep.
I'm like your wife, though. It has to have a balance, but there's no balance. I think once you get your own passion, though, like, he has his passions. My passion is these animals, and I think that he sees that I can stay here until 2 o'clock in the morning, right here in the reptile room, and I have done it, but because we have our own things, I guess it kind of works out. But yeah, it's hard to understand if until you experience it. Like, you
Yeah.
have to love the reptiles to understand the peace and just the fact. I like the fact that I know that they depend on me. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
they depend on me to check on them. They depend on me to check temps. They depend on me to check water. They depend on me to give them interaction when they want to. They depend on me to make sure they have the proper food. Like all of that. Like I love that. I love that.
Yeah. I know, like, I have the snake room. I have what I think is an amazing man cave upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
It is totally my little piece of nerdvana, with all my Star Wars stuff and my whole Star Wars collection there. But with that being said, that used to be where I would always go. Now, I never thought about this until recently, but the snakes were always up there as well.
Okay.
Now, as soon as the snakes came down here into the snake room, guess where Jeremy's always at? I'm always down here in the snake room, and I'm very rarely ever up in my man
Yeah.
cave. And that's just like, it's just a testament to how much
And when you expand, you
animals
just gotta
mean to
add
me.
a TV. You just gotta add like whatever it is that you need down there. You just gotta add it when you expand to that other section of your
Yep.
house. Like just make it, kind of combine the two. You know.
That's kind of I'm gonna add a TV when I do the expansion. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I've got enough outlets. I can find an outlet. I'm pretty sure. But
Which I still don't. How did that come about? So, y'all, let me tell you, that's funny. I used to always see people joke with him about the outlets. When you're standing in the room, they are literally outlets everywhere. So, Jeremy, how did that come about, though?
originally when I designed this room, everything was supposed to be with TGR rack systems. So
Okay,
you're talking like there would have been like I'm looking at mine. It's a 5 tier thing. So in order to have 10 snakes, it would have been 2 different racks. So I figured
got you.
I'm gonna have to have multiple herp stats. So I wanted to make sure that no matter where I needed to place it, I had an outlet that the cords could get to, no problem. Um, and I just figured I was going to have a whole bunch of these racks as well. So I figured a whole bunch of racks, I'm going to need a whole bunch of thermostats. Well, TGR went out of business during COVID,
Mm-hmm.
and I never revamped my design to limit the amount of of outlets. And when I switched to the ARS racks, it's like, well, see, I guess it's fine. It's like, ARS racks are huge. No matter what, no matter how they line up, I'm going to have an outlet where I need it. So I just kind of went with it. And this is where we're at. I am now officially the outlet king.
Yeah, it's funny, like seeing it in person. Like, wow, this is a lot of outlets.
Well,
Jeremy's plug.
I was going to say the first thing Phil said when he came to the barbecue, he got out. He was starting to hand me stuff to help carry, and because he brought a whole bunch of sodas. And he goes, just so you know, before I leave, I have to have a picture with the outlets. I was like, I got you, dude. We'll get you that picture, no problem. it's yeah, I mean, it was just I should have revamped the design of it. I just never did.
Right.
And now when I do the other section, obviously, I've learned I don't need 100, like 2, 4, 6, the 8 outlets on one wall for like the most complete wall. I don't need that many, obviously. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the old, like the current snake room, into more of where the carpets are, because they're
Okay.
going to be in the bigger cages or the bigger
Okay.
PVC enclosures. So that will come in handy more for them, I'm thinking. And then I'll keep everything else, spaced out a little bit more.
Got you.
So ultimately, it's going to work out. It'll definitely make finding places to plug stuff in a little bit easier. Adam, what's up? I meant to say hi to you when you first hopped in
Hey,
here, but
Adam.
thanks for tuning in, Adam. Appreciate it. He says, I prefer the herp stats in a close race. I have both, but I like the herp stats better. I think
Yeah,
that's
I like the
what I
herb
was saying
stats
about the
better
GE.
too.
Yeah.
I got the herb stat 6, and I really fell in love with that. I think the herb stats though are just so much easier to program as well.
I've never worked with the VE
They're
stuff, but
sinking.
Herbstat stuff is absolutely out of this world. Quality, ease of setup. I run everything. Each rack has its own Herbstat too, and I run both probes on that one rack. Um,
Okay.
Reason being, and this might be overkill as well. I'm really good at doing things overkill, but that being said, my thought process was, say, like for you, if your Herbstat 6 goes down, you got to have either another Herbstat 6 on backup, or three Herbstat 2s laying around. Um, so if one part fails, there's multiple racks that are going down with that, that one system. That's why I went with the Herbstat 2s and design, and went with the fact that one thermostat per rack. So that way, if one stat goes down, it's only one rack that's being affected by it, not four, five, whatever.
Yes, I
Um,
have a couple of the VEs too. Like the VE is running one of my incubators, but I actually have a couple of the extra VEs. But yeah, I mean, I get that point. But I definitely like the Herbstat 6. But yes, you definitely got to keep one on the
yeah, you
back.
got to have backups, and that's one thing
Yeah.
I need to do. I need to get a backup thermostat just to have laying around just in case. 'Cause I don't have that. But worst push came to shove, I can finagle some stuff around and make it work. But
Got
yeah,
it.
DK found a bathtub. That's the closest he can
Oh
find for
yeah,
it.
that's the closest he
Like,
can get to Adam sink.
it kind of looks like Adam's sink, though. I mean, it's got the long, big shower head thing that that kind of DK, that'll pass as Adam's sink. That works. Adam likes it. Oh shoot, that's funny. Yeah, Adam and his sink. That is a nice sink, though. I'd love to have a sink down here.
Yes. And the thing is that I have there's the where I have the reds, where I breathe the reds at. There's a room there that I actually could put the sink in, but I would have to actually give up the closet.
Oh, okay. See, for me to do a sink down here, I'd have to put what is it, like a grinder pump, I think, because we're with me being in the basement where everything goes out of, it's actually higher, like nothing's lower than where the sink would be. So I'd have to hook it up with to a pump of some sort to be able to pump everything up and out of the house. So that's my only challenge on that one.
It's 661 comments in the chat that I clearly didn't see, I'm sure. But now
How did you
660.
see how many
So
comments
it
there are?
shows up in the chat box because I have the chat on my phone. So I have it closed on the extra string. So it tells me in the
Uh,
chat box that I missed 662. But I have it on my phone.
okay, see, I didn't know that. All right.
Yeah. If you close it out on the stream, like the actual chat itself, it'll tell you how many in there. Hey, Area 51.
What's up, Area 51? Thanks for tuning in. All right, let's see here. I've got three more questions for you, Nicole. Actually, sorry, two more questions because we did cover that one. Although, before we get onto another topic, talk to us more about your lobby. Like, you're talking about being a voice and lobbying and stuff like that. And I know that you're already in the process of doing some workings on that. Can you
Yep.
go into a little bit more detail with that for us?
Yeah, so recently, Kevin McCurley put me in connection with Vanessa, who is actually the head of the FWCs. I mean, the Florida USR. And so she does a lot of the campaign and lobbyists with the state of Florida and FWC. So my goal is to make those connections because at the end of the day, like you already see some of the legislation coming up in Georgia. And I was just saying this a couple months ago. People don't realize that what happens in one state, the next state, the next state, the next
Yep.
state will try to follow suit. And Florida might be a long drive from Maryland, but it's really not far from Maryland when it comes to geography. And
Yeah.
so what happens in Florida matters to me. So that's one of the first things. And I'm actually working to get Vanessa on to the show so she can kind of go and deep dive into some of the current challenges and really focus on what people in Florida can do. Because at the end of the day, we're not in Florida. You know, I always say that to Kent. We're in here. We're in PA. We're in Maryland. The people in Florida is who want to have to make a difference if it matters to them. And so therefore, a lot of breeders are in Florida. A lot of people we purchase from are in Florida. Several of the breeders I purchase from is in Florida. So it's important that, you know, we don't kind of stay in our own little silos, you know, and that we work together to improve the hobby. And that comes with a lot. We have a lot of responsibility into that as well. So the other part that I lobby on is to make sure that we're responsible, we're doing the right things. Because at the end of the day, what we do, what we say, how we act, what we display makes all the difference on what happens on a legal side. So I try to make sure that I carry a responsibility on that end as well. Like you will not see me show aspects of reptile keeping that doesn't benefit the masses, right? So yes, we know that they eat, for example. Unless I'm going to do an educational video of how a rabbit digests internally in a reticulated python. At this particular point, no one needs to see how a retic eat. You know, we already seen that before, right? So, but I do think there is opportunity to show educational videos of for people, younger people who may be having a ball python, let's say, because that's a common animal that young kids have, or a corn snake, to how to properly feed them and properly feed them, not in a barbaric way, but properly feed them. I believe that those videos have to exist. And I would go to anybody in a lobby forum to say that, like to say that people don't want to see live feedings. Okay, well, the reality of it is some of our animals eat that way, right? All of them don't have to, but some of them have to. Like I, for one, as a person who owns lizards, don't understand why anybody feel the need to feed a live animal to a lizard. They're going to eat whatever the heck you put in there. You can put in a decomposed rat and that table is going to eat it, right? I mean, not saying that you want to, but the reality of it is there's no point of feeding them live. They don't need that. But I do understand that a video showing how to assist feed a ball python is important, not just to a child who's learning about reptiles, but to adults like me who will be breeding, may have to assist feed. I think that type of stuff is important. So it's both sides. I think that the government has some valid points sometimes, but at the same time, I want to make sure that I lobby against the change for reptile ownership, that we make the conscious decisions to do things differently, to make us show that we take this seriously. It's hard for people to take us seriously when we're playing about it. And I think that's the major difference, which is going into one of the fun things that I'm excited about doing the new podcast with Dre, which is Two Peas on a Podcast. I'm excited about that because me and Dre, sometimes we see things from different perspectives, but we can have conversations about it. And I think that podcast will, in a very fun kind of way, open up dialogue that people are afraid to talk about. And one of the things that I have to keep it real about is that there's a difference between a person who's owning 5 reptiles because they want a YouTube channel and interview people, than the people who are breeding and this has been their lives, this is their livelihood, or the people who always had animals and that they are conservationists and they are living in these states with these tough laws. Like it's a difference, and we need to have that dialogue so we can come to a happy medium so that that person who is a YouTuber can do what they need to do. You know, I think that's a good aspect of YouTube. I think that there is some good content out there, but it can't be at the detriment of the people who are actually making a livelihood off not the podcasting, not the YouTubing part of it, not just showing pictures on Instagram, but these people who are actually taking investments, $10,000 here, $5,000 here, and combining these animals to create some wonderful animals that they want to sell at some point in life. So.
No, I agree with you on that one. It's there's a place for some of the content, but you definitely don't want to be putting stuff out there that's not going to help the hobby out. I totally, I agree with you on that.
Or without dialogue. Like one of the videos that I love that Kevin did for example. I hated the video that circled around about the with the lady who had gotten the food response bite from her reticulated python. I hated it.
Oh, that video.
I hated
Yeah,
it.
I had
But
so
when
many
Kevin
people
did that
message me about
video,
that.
he broke it down frame by frame of what she did wrong, and it became an educational piece. Because for
Yep.
me, or for somebody else, like a Chris or somebody else who's watching that video, we could see everything that was wrong in that video, like from the beginning
Yep.
to the end. We all knew watching that video that that was not a hey mommy moment, okay? None of my retics
Yeah.
come to me like that when it's a hey mommy moment. But we all knew that. But what Kevin did, instead of just sharing the video, he broke it down frame by frame what could have been done differently, including the fact of he thought she did really, really well in how she maintained her composure once
She did,
everything
yeah.
went wrong. Yeah, like he gave her a lot of kudos about that. But yeah, I think that if you take those videos and you take that and you educate people, then yeah, sometimes that needs to be seen. But to a person who's against us as well, they now understand the why they happen, and they don't assume that every snake that you have in your house is going to react like that, or every situation will be handled like that, because the only thing that would have changed that whole situation is a paper towel or a hook.
Yep.
That would, and none of that would have ever happened, and that was an educational opportunity. So I was okay when the video came with dialogue. What I hated was when people were sharing it, because then it makes it seem like this is what these snakes do.
Yeah. No, I had a couple people that I know, hey, did you watch this video of this woman getting bit by this snake? I was like, yeah. They're like, well, why did it do that? And basically, I did what you said Kevin had done and played the video with them, and I walked them through. I was like, all right, like key number one is the way. I mean, the way that thing whipped its head up and just kind of launched itself up out, and the posture of it. I was like, that right there. I was like, that's no, that's not a hi. How you doing, sweetie? That's like
Right,
that was key number
exactly.
one.
That's a what? Wait a minute.
Yep,
Wait
yep.
a
That's a no.
minute.
Give me the hook. We got to break this connection here real
Yeah.
quick. But that's yeah, that's a perfect example, like you said, that with what Kevin did with that on how
Hmm.
that's making a bad experience in a video that's harmful, but turning it into a good teaching material.
Yep.
All right. If anybody's got any questions for Nicole, feel free to drop them in the chat. I've got two more questions, and then we're going to call it a night.
Okay.
So while we give the people here a little bit of time to drop anything, what are your advice for any people, beginner wise, coming into the hobby as breeders?
Educate yourself about the animals, and don't do it for the money. Come into the hobby being an animal lover first. It's kind of like I tell people, you're not going to become a mother or a father. You're not going to give birth to a child when you don't like children, right?
Yep.
That's not a good combination. This is not going to work. There's going to be plenty of challenges that she's going to need to love that child for. So it's the same thing that when you're buying animals. So that's my biggest advice. And don't try to do it outside of means that are within your own means. Like you and I was talking earlier, everybody comes in this at a different level.
Yep.
I mean, I always joke with Ozzy. Every time I go to his house, like I act like it's mine just for a moment, so I can get the feel of it. But the reality of it is that I'm not going to be living like that for a very long time. But I can go ahead and just imagine it and be
Yep.
encouraged. But I'm not going to go out here and buy a almost $1 million house, just to be able to have it now. Whether you can and you cannot, it's a situation of overexposing yourself and just doing the right thing, pacing it out for yourself. So that would be my greatest advice. Just do you enjoy it?
Yeah. I know with you saying about the whole Aussies thing, I just did a driveway up in Mount Gretna for a customer. And I mean, the driveway itself was like lined with like granite curb. I mean, like if I could just have a fraction of what this guy spent on just the curb to line his
Right.
driveway to go to his house. And you had this huge mansion, which looks like it probably had like, I don't know, maybe 3 outside pools on different levels and then a big pool out. Yeah. And I just stood there and I thought, it's like, you know what? That there is a life goal. And my
Mhm.
coworker looked at me and he goes, "What do you mean?" I was like, "I want to own that little car he drives around to get from one end of his house, one end of the driveway to the other." And he kind of looked at me odd. I was like, "Just think about it. He's got this amazing house, but he needs to have that little car." I was like,
Yeah.
"That's freaking awesome." But no, like in all seriousness, it's like that house was stunning. The view was just beautiful. You could see from where the house was all the way to the mountains. Like nothing
Wow.
obstructed the view. Like you could see for literal miles, and it was just beautiful. Um, yeah, that there is a life goal. If I could dream, that would be to have a place somewhat at least half similar to that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah. So all right, how about any advice for people going to be like start a business, like going if their goal is to turn this into a business, because you've got a lot of mentors that have the great business mind, you've got a great business mind on top of it. What are some of your tips on that one?
Take it seriously. Don't half step it. If you're saying you're going to establish a business, establish the business. And that starts with the establishment of the business legitimately. You will hear me say all the time that a logo is not a business, a logo is a logo. A logo should be trademarked when you establish your business, so no one can take claims on your creations. Um, I also think that with establishment of the business, you have to be willing to invest in it, right? I think a lot of people say, I want to establish a business, and there's no business that's actually lucrative today where the person starting the business did not invest almost all that they have to make it happen. So keeping in the mindset that successful businesses take your 100% mental investment, not just your financial investment into it, and invest into yourself, your own knowledge. Like I told you, I would have never thought to go to a Bigger Pockets conference, but and then me and my husband are going together. So when you were talking about our dreams, Jeremy, the reality of it is, and one of the things that you see with the Justins and the Aussies and people like that is that they took ball python money and invested it to get the lifestyle that they have today.
Yep.
You would hear Aussie say all the day, every day, I don't want y'all making money from snakes to have to always make money from snakes. Even if you don't sell another snake, would you be comfortable? And that's the lifestyle that I know I personally adapted, even going in, like not even creating my very first clutch of Snake Shed, knowing that how I'm going to visualize that I don't need snakes today to be able to continue to live, because I'm going to be making, and I am making, and I have made investments in life that position to me to be where I am. But had I known what I know, learned from being in Aussie's Patreon this year, had I known this 5 years ago, I would be in a totally different position, in life today. I mean, I'm good, I'm comfortable, but shoot, we could be closer to what you talked about, the pools and the granite driveways and and things like that. But Aussie always reminds us is that one of the return on investment on ball python sales is greater than almost any return of investment out there next to real estate. And even with real estate, that's temperamental. It depends on the market. Where ball
Yeah.
pythons, some of us are creating ball pythons that are in demand, and some of us are creating world's first, that other people would love to work with those genetics. And at that particular point, we don't have to sell it today, but if we decide to sell it 5 years ago, what the value of that snake is definitely, even if it doesn't materialize, the birth of that snake actually gave you a return on the investment. If you had five of those snakes, gave you a return on that investment. We are in a very unique business to be very successful, and that's a message that I want to make sure that I'm sharing with everybody. I think that whether you are in a Patreon or not, expose and surround yourself around other people who are winning in that way. When you're coming across and you're going to these conferences and things like that, and you're seeing these people who have taken ball pythons and made good lives with them, talk to them, get the feedback, because we are creating animals that put us in a place of investment that a lot of people who work a regular 9 to 5 for 50 years will never see. So
Great advice. Great advice. See, that's one thing I need to. I'll admit I've been dragging my feet a little bit on doing the LLC, but that's just because And this mentally, this makes sense for me. One,
Hmm.
I'm making sure I'm not going to make any big purchases until next year anyway. But on top of that, it's just the startup cost of going through all the paperwork and all that stuff. Getting my tax person to go and just do it all for me. Just that way,
All
I
tax
know it's done right.
deductible though. Even before, so even like say for instance, the year that I actually started buying a lot of the breeding stuff wasn't the year that it was the year before I established the business. But you can actually take that startup cost and you can actually file that as a business startup cost with your filing taxes. So it's so many things that you learn, like down the way and down the road. I think the biggest thing about making your LLC now is that you work a full-time job.
Yep.
So everything that you're buying now and this year, you can also deduct without even
Oh,
have established your LLC yet. So, like keeping that in mind as well. I mean, of course, the tax benefits are greater when you actually establish the LLC, but
yeah.
it's a benefit. And then the cost of doing it, whether it is, it's a tax deduction to you and your family on your regular taxes anyway. So whatever that, let's say in Pennsylvania, if it's $400 for you to file the LLC, that's totally tax deductible.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's something like $400. I think, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly. Yeah, John. It's not like it's just $60. If it was $60, yeah, I would have had that done. And yeah, it's like $400 or something like that. And I know that's not a lot of money, but right now with everything going on, it's a lot of money right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just let it at
Well,
that.
especially now,
Life.
I think I was talking to Keys earlier. Like, even with you being monetized, in order for you to actually get that money paid out, you're going to have an established LLC for YouTube.
There's two different ways to go about doing it though.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can do the way, because my one friend does YouTube and he's got like three different channels, and he's monetized on all of them. So I had him walk me through how to do it. Um, you can do the business one, or you can do like the personal one, and
Mm-hmm.
they just make you verify a whole bunch of like your bank account several times, verify who you are and send your driver's license and all that stuff. And then they mail you something and you get with mail a code. And yeah, there's a bunch of hoops to jump through, but you don't have to have the LLC or anything like that in order to be actually to get the money out of it.
But you would definitely benefit from a business standpoint. Like right now, like I use the StreamYard, that's the one that's $66 because you get the biggest file of saving all your videos and all of that stuff too as well. But that's all tax deductible too
Okay. See,
because
that's
Ladytis Exotics is my LLC.
Okay. See, that's something where I need to also eventually drop the hammer and actually get a StreamYard membership just because I'm not going anywhere. So it's not like it's going to be a once and done deal. But yeah, I just need to find,
Just not buy one steak and then just do it.
well, that's the thing. I got this year kind of was a real slap in the face as for the odds here. I'm kind of like sitting here going, really? Like you couldn't have given me a couple really good ones to
Man,
sell?
y'all got at least you got A's. I don't care if my first touch is nothing but normals. I'm just gonna be happy to see that I actually can produce the lively, the viable
Yeah.
egg. That's the most important thing for me is just I just want them to be healthy because I'm telling you, like that's gonna be the hard part for me is unhealthy eggs.
Uh, it's hard. It was like I've been fortunate. Everything I've been 100% so far throughout the last 2 years. Everything's hatched right. Everything survived. Everything has thrived so far. So I've been very fortunate on that one. I know it's an eventual that that streak's not going to last forever. At some point, you're going to have eggs not make it through incubation. You're going to have babies die. Whatever, you're going to have bad things happen at some point.
Yeah.
But it's so rewarding when you do that egg cutting or you open up that egg tub and there's a head sticking out. And especially if it's something you really wanted to hit, like
Right.
the happiness you feel inside, you can't describe. I
I
mean,
get
I know.
excited watching other people cut A's and
Yep.
and see them hit the R's. I get excited over that. So
No, when people actually blow the odds out of the water, I absolutely love seeing that because it's just like that guy or girl or whoever it is, that person's got to be like doing a happy dance inside and just really controlling themselves right now.
yeah.
John says you get a receipt and you can search your brand online to make sure. Yeah, see, yeah, it's a little bit more here, John, but I think there's different levels of it as well that
Yeah, state
determine
of
the
Maryland, yeah, you're
prices and
not doing
stuff.
it less than 375 in Maryland.
Yeah.
You have to pay for the license, you have to pay for the registration. Like it's just like it's how it's broken down. The fees are broken down.
Yeah, and plus there's certain things you have to have selected, if I'm not mistaken, as
Yeah.
well, so that way you're meeting certain criteria to begin with, I
Hmm.
think. But maybe
Yeah.
it might be a lot simpler out in, I think John's in Colorado, if I'm not mistaken. So it
Oh
might be
yeah, so
simpler
yeah,
out there.
it
I don't
definitely
know.
will be state to state. It's like different states, different. You know who has a really good video? And it helped me a lot. Precious Pythons did a video when she first established Precious Pythons on her channel. And she literally goes onto the website in the state. I think she's in Indiana. Goes into the website in her state, show what she had to go through, show what type of things to watch out for to make sure that it doesn't flip to another website, all that kind of stuff. It was a really good video. So if anybody want to watch that, it's on Precious Python's channel, and it was literally about establishing how to establish the business online.
Okay, I'll have to watch it. I know Danny's, would be more than willing to help me out as well because he's already said, if you need help with it, just let me know.
Mhm.
But it's the fact that I'd rather have that person there, either or someone there that knows what they're doing to help walk me through it personally, or just
Mhm.
pay the money and let the accountant just deal with it all and just
Yeah.
that way if something screwed up, it's on them.
Yeah.
And then lastly, any advice for anybody starting their YouTube journey?
Just do it. Just do it. Be unique, be yourself. Do what you like, talk about and do what you enjoy. Don't try to be like everybody else. I think everybody got their own niche. I think everybody provides something different. And I think it was 843 Exotics, for example, asked me, and I think like I follow his Facebook page, and I think he has really good content that he can produce. But he was like, the question of, I want to create a YouTube channel. How do I do it? Just do it. Just start it. I started mine way before a lot of people started theirs. I just didn't really commit to it until like January of last year. And once I've really like committed to it, like literally said, this is what I'm gonna do, and then kind of created like, the process of what I wanted to see down the future, which came with the first podcast and stuff like that. I was committed. And once you become committed to it, it becomes easier, especially when you have the dialogue. And I think, like, for people who are actually breeding ball pythons, and especially if you have multiple clutches, that's good enough, alone. Like, I can tell you that a lot of people analytically like to watch those videos. So,
Yep.
and then another thing that I started to do this year that I didn't do before is try to record randomly and not like try to create the video all at once, but kind of just like, do random recordings and then kind of bring a video all together and create that video at once.
Yeah, okay. That's actually,
Yeah.
see, I've done videos where I've recorded at one time, but I had to wait for something else to line up, and then I'd
Mm-hmm.
record the rest of the video like a lot of times it ended up being months later because I'd forget about it, and then I'd be going through stuff, being like, "Oh, I remember starting this. Now I gotta go finish it," and I still had to wait a little bit longer.
Right.
But yeah, no, like sometimes you got to piece those videos together like that. I know, like I've started. I think it was May of last year is when I started the channel.
Okay.
So, and then I didn't start my live streams until January this year.
Right. Right.
So it's been a fun ride to say the least.
Well, definitely. And I love to see all the activity, like to see all the different podcasts and things like that. I think for the most part, people keep them where they're just, a value to the hobby, not a detriment to the hobby. So I really enjoy them as well. I try to see as many as I possibly can.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Some
I know a
awesome
lot.
people.
Yeah, there is. I know a lot of times, like, because I always have a hard time catching yours. They're in the middle of the day on Saturday, and I always feel so bad because a lot of times you're always in the audience for mine. So I always make it a point, like I always try to watch, like listen to it while I'm down here doing stake work on Sunday because
Hmm.
it's Saturday's always just well, a lot of times anyway, lately I've been working Saturday, so I don't get home till like 12:30, 1 o'clock.
And that's a
So I'm
lot, and that's another thing. Like, and I think a lot of us get that. Like, it depends on what day it is that certain people, you can see that. Like, certain people are in certain chats on certain days, and it's all based on our schedules. I mean, I just think that is, with the intent of just supporting as much as you can. It's impossible. Like, sometimes if there's back to back lives, I can't do those. Like, I only got like,
Yep.
1 or 2 lives in me a day. Most of the time, depending on what I got to do, because I still got animals I have to take care of. And definitely with the retics and the tables, I have to be like attentive when I have them out. So sometimes, I like Adam's show, for example. A lot of times I can't always be in the chat, but I'm listening because whatever
Yep.
night his show comes on, I'm normally cleaning, and it's like almost like clockwork. But I remember the night that Ty Park was on there, and that was one of his longer ones. Adam don't really do, like very long, drawn out lives. That was a long one. It was a really good one though, and I was doing a lot of cleaning in the ball python and the lizard tents, and that really got me through. So I'm listening to most lives, even if I can't be in the chat, because I
Yep.
can't, always be, especially as people come in and they see you and you want to, they saying hi, and you might have said hi like 100 times up. Like I can't keep doing it over and over again because I'm in here doing something. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
I know a lot of times, like I'm either folding laundry, listening in, so it's too hard to try to keep after the chat. So I just always say, hey, I'm here, but I'm doing this, so it kind of clears me for anybody that I miss,
Right.
saying hi back to. But that's a good way to kind of keep my rear end clear. Rob says about when are we respinning Nathan's seven males? Um, I'll have to talk to him. I didn't know that Caldafago did not, still
I
hasn't got them
I
yet.
think he may have, because he made a comment on my live the other day, something about getting more, winning more snakes or something. So he may have claimed them or got them shipped.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know. Let us
Yeah,
know.
I'll have to
Yeah.
because I know that Nathan had still had them waiting. I guess they were waiting to
That
ship
was
them.
like a few, yeah, about a week ago. I know we was talking about that, but
Yeah, yeah, and I had said on how if for whatever reason if the whole thing has fallen through, we'll do a respin.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, that I'll have to, Rob. I'll have to talk with Nathan and see what's going on with that because I'm talking with Nathan anyway about uh, the new logo for the membership thing.
Oh,
It's
okay.
going to have a totally different front end. The back's going to be the same, but the front is going to be a completely different image. It's still going to say Warfels Morphs, but I just got done actually working that out today. Um, so I'm really excited to get that produced and show that off and see where it goes. And John, you'll be one of the first people to get that shirt as well, dude. So you're gonna be pleased with it, I think. Everybody will get to see it on me first, but it's gonna be awesome looking. I promise you that. I promise you that. Okay, Rob says as of tonight he hasn't. What were you guys talking? Is that what my phone was blowing up for, Rob? You guys talking about these snakes? Anyway, I'll talk with Nathan. I'll see what's going on about it. I know Conafago was in here earlier.
Man,
Yeah,
that's
I'll
weird.
I'll talk. I'll talk to Nathan. And I'll see what's going on, and we'll figure something out by then. But all right, if nobody has any more questions for Nicole or myself, we're gonna call it a night.
Yes.
While I give everybody just a little bit of time here to see if there's any questions next week. I have Pedro from Funky Morelia joining me. He is the man that produced Xena. So, it's going to be an awesome, awesome episode. John, you don't have to pay for shipping, dude. For if you're talking about the snakes, yeah, you'd have to pay for the shipping. But if you're talking about the shirt, dude, the shirt, getting the shirt stuff shipped to you is all part of your membership thing. So as long as I think it's like 6 months, you have to be a member, is what I have to get the shirt. So, but yeah, as long as you're a member for 6 months, you get the shirt shipped to you, no issues. So, what's up, Mark? Thanks for tuning in. You're a little late, but better late than never, my friend. You can always go back and rewatch it on the replay. But yeah, so if nobody else had, he says it came up in our random chat. Yeah, okay, I'll talk to Nathan tomorrow because I gotta message him stuff anyway. So Nicole, thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome. Thank you, Jeremy, for having me. Thanks for everybody who hung out with us.
Yes, thank you, everybody.
Who are no longer here. Thank you. This is a really good live, which I knew it would be, though.
I was excited for this live. You're so easy to talk to, Nicole. That like meeting you in person was one of the greatest parts of that night. You have no idea. It was just great.
Yeah, I really had a good time, though. Really had a good time.
I'm glad. Like, I think it's awesome that you came, and then not only did you come, but you won the shirt. And you guessed it right on the dot. I think that was like, it was just like,
because Chris had me going for the Porto. I had told you I was going for the Porto. It was either Chris or Kent. One of them said that's what the prize was. I was like, what? I'm sitting there staring at it.
That was fun. I think that was Chris that said that.
It was
Chris or Phil.
Chris too. I believe it was Chris too.
Yeah, that sounds like that was Chris's shenanigans there on that one. But just hang on 1 second, Nicole. After we end this, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I greatly appreciate all the support. Make sure if you aren't, for some odd reason, and I can't understand how or why, but make sure you are subbed to Nicole at Ladytis Exotics and follow her on Instagram, please. She's giving away a trip to Tinley for hitting 1K. So let's get her to that 1K because she greatly, greatly deserves to be at that 1K point. She puts her heart and soul into her YouTube channel and everything that she does in the hobby. So please give her that subscription. And Nicole, we're gonna have you back again at some point. I'll have to. I want to do like a round table with you on it.
I was going to say, yeah, that'll be cool. Or maybe when we start breaking eggs next year.
Ooh, yeah, that'll work too. That'll work. We'll figure it out. We'll get Nicole to come back on because I have fun with Nicole. So make sure you guys are subscribed to her. Also, if you're not subscribed to me, hit the subscribe button, everybody. What are you waiting on?
Are you here?
Yeah, you can't be here lurking and not be subscribed. I mean,
wow, you're here.
The content's great. I think the lives are awesome. We get some awesome guests coming on the show. If you want to know who all we have coming on for like basically up till November, you have to watch this whole live and find out because it's in there in the live. I go over the whole schedule. So you just got to sit there and watch it and find out. But thanks for everybody that gives me all the support. I greatly appreciate it. If you would like to become a member of the Warfels Morphs team and would want to, go down there, click that join button. It's basically like a Patreon. Each tier has its own perks. Go check it out. There's a little bit of something for everybody. And if you if you go to the top tier, you get all the perks and everything, there. You get some discounted snakes, first access to snakes. You get some pretty good stuff. So check it out. So that's going to be it for tonight. That's going to be it for tonight. I can't speak. Anyway, that's how you know it's time to call it a night. Yeah.
Thank you.
Kike's right. Lurkers. We all knew Kike is not a worker, or not a lurker. See, I can't talk. All right, we're done, everybody. I'm officially spent, I think. Thanks, John. Appreciate it, guys. I,
Bye,
I, I
George.
appreciate all the support. I truly do. Um, Wednesday's video, I know Rob's been hitting me really hard for Nathan's facility tour. So, Rob, this Wednesday will be part one of Nathan's facility tour.
Oh, pretty cool.
That tour is actually holding up another one of my videos. So, yeah. So, Nathan's facility tour is this week's video. So, make sure you guys check that out because forget if that's the one where you get to see the bang and some really good quality images or what, or if that's part two. I think that's when you get to see the bang. But anyway,
Okay.
you get to see some awesome, beautiful snakes at Nathan's place. So make sure you guys check that out. Wednesday drops every Wednesday at 10 a.m. So that way everybody can watch it during their lunch breaks at work. So that's going to be it, everybody. Nicole, thank you again so much for coming
You're
on.
welcome.
I greatly appreciate it.
Good night, everyone.
And we'll catch you all later. Take it easy.